Amateur hour, ladies and gentlemen. I do apologize. Guys, welcome in. We have a gigantic show tonight. That'll teach me to ever try to time my show in beginning as Candace ends, because I thought, oh, she's going to 5? I'll go at 6. She always goes exactly an hour. Well, al contrario, senor. Anyway, guys, welcome in. Big show tonight. I think it's going to be one of those shows that people shake their head at and say, I got to make sense of this. I don't know how to make sense of this. And the opening kind of, I think, lays into that a little bit. There are a couple of stories I think that are huge. One of them, 100%, I believe, is related to the Charlie Kirk. That sounds so professional. It's like I'm his English 2 teacher in high school. Charlie Kirk. One of them, 100%, I believe, is related to the Charlie Kirk investigation, and I believe we have it down pretty cold. Now, a lot of you, if you just watched Candace Owens moments ago, a lot of you will go, man, that was awfully heavy on the child trafficking investigation. I can assure you, she and I did not plan our shows back to back tonight. But there is an element of that in what I'm going to talk about. There's absolutely an element of that in what I'm going to talk about. One of the characters I'm going to bring to attention tonight is tangentially related. Hold on, I'm going to try to kill that poll that's running, because my cover, I want to see what the answer is to what you guys think about the answer to the poll before I get to the story tonight. So in your opinion, is Rick Cutler suspicious in the Charlie Kirk investigation? 62% said yes. 62% said yes. And only 1% said no. Rick, baby, I got bad news for you. It's going to get worse tonight. It's going to get worse. This is probably the one guy that I have had more requests. The one guy I've had more requests to cover than absolutely anybody else. And tonight we will begin to look at Rick Cutler. For those of you who had Army green, split pea green, or whatever else it is, then yes, you won. This is a brand new hoodie. I'm bringing new hoodies to the game. Your generous donations has allowed me to go on and get the hoodie. I do want to mention one more housekeeping matter before we get to the meat of the story, till we get to the opening statement tonight. I am planning to do some member exclusive, probably interviews. Member exclusive interviews. I would like to do at least an interview a month. This is something I was starting to do before the Charlie Kirk investigation. I had an interview with a good friend of mine who's a New York Times reporter, for example. The audio wasn't ideal. I might redo that interview, get with him a little earlier and get the audio right. I'd also like to bring in people like, well, I'm not going to say who, but other people you guys watch and other people you guys listen to. I call this Army green. Now, again, the white balance, I'm not sure what the white balance looks like. Let me pull that up. I see you guys are very concerned with what color this is. This looks to me like an Army green, which works for tonight because there's a military component. Let me pull up the guts of my camera here real quick, and I'll change the white balance. I hate doing this in the middle of the show, but I think the white balance is off because I had my windows open today, and so I think I put automatic on so it didn't look so washed out. Anyway, if I can't do that, never mind. It's taking too long. You guys are just going to have to accept. Oh, there we go. No. You're going to have to accept what you have. But yeah, you can join the members page. And I think I'm going to put up some member exclusive interviews. I also, a lot of times during the day, I just feel like ranting. And I'm not sure who to rant to. You know, do I throw it on X? Do I throw it on Rumble? I mean, the grumblers are great over there. The grumblers are fantastic. So I don't know who to rant to. So, you know, I could rant to my members. I could just throw it up there because I don't know that I want my rants going to, hundreds of thousands of people. But if I could just rant to a select group of people, then maybe that would work as well. So feel free to join the members. I would love to give you guys a shout out at the, I don't know if you go away or not, like Brittany, Cash Money Kels. Cash Money's great. She's always been nice. Curious Joel. So I will get to that towards the end of the program. Try to get through those, give you a shout out. But if you want to join, I do believe I am going to start with at least interviews. At least start with interviews and then move on to that. Am I sunburned today? No, I took a late shower today. I worked out at the gym and then came right in and started preparing. And I realized I was in no condition to go on the air. My hair was askew. It might still be askew. Might still be wet from the shower. So I took a late shower today, so I'm hot. I'm like a heat pump. That's the problem. All right, let me get to the opening statement because I think you'll see very quickly where I'm headed tonight. I don't think it'll take you long to figure this out at all based on all the clues I've given you so far. I always get so winded on the intro. All right, here we go. Opening statement. In 1978, the American Mafia was near its peak of operational power. There were 5 crime families that controlled the area: the Gambinos, the Genoveses, the Lucchese's, the Colombos, and the Bonanos. If I didn't pronounce that correctly, my Italian admittedly is terrible. The Mafia had taken decades to consolidate as much power as they had amassed by 1978. The Godfather, Parts 1 and 2, released early in the 1970s, had made the Mafia not only feared, but also romanticized. The mob's reach was nearly total. They controlled New York's waterfront district. They controlled garbage collection. They controlled the garment district. It was hard to go anywhere in the greater New York area without interacting in at least some capacity with Mafia operations, whether or not you knew it. In some areas, they had a total stranglehold over every commercial operation. And while the Mafia appeared basically untouchable at the time, the year 1978 marked a turning point in law enforcement. The RICO Act, passed in 1970, had by the end of the 1970s begun to be used as an investigatory and prosecutorial tool. It was in 1978 that the Lucchese crime family decided to pull off one of the most famous crimes in Mafia history. The crime was immortalized and again romanticized in the 1990 movie Goodfellas. This was the 1978 Lufthansa heist. Stands as one of the most audacious and blood-soaked chapters in the history of American organized crime. The heist was orchestrated by James Burke, a.k.a. Jimmy the Gent. Jimmy the Gent was a high-level operator with the Lucchese crime family. The robbery took place at the JFK airport and netted an unbelievably staggering $6 million in cash and jewelry. That's more than $28 million in today's money. From an operational perspective, the Lufthansa heist essentially was flawless. And as with so many major crimes, the crime began with inside information from a morally flawed man who needed an out. Louis Werner was a cargo agent at Lufthansa. He also had a massive gambling debt to a bookmaker named Martin Krugman. Krugman took the tip to Henry Hill, who acted as the conduit to James Burke, the high-level operator in the Lucchese crime family. He was the leader of the operation. The event mostly was planned in person at Robert's Lounge. This was a bar James Burke owned in Queens. In the early morning hours of December 11th, 1978, a team of 6 masked gunmen entered one of Lufthansa's cargo buildings. They herded employees into a break room and forced the night shift manager to open a high-security vault. In just over an hour, the crew loaded 72 cartons containing just over $5 million in cash and nearly $1 million in jewels into a van and escaped without incident. The perfect heist? Perhaps. But as often happens with big crimes, the cover-up became harder to pull off than the crime itself. In fact, the crew met several times in the critical weeks after the crime, but before they were identified as suspects by law enforcement. After fleeing the airport, the crew met the leader of the operation, James Burke, at a nearby auto repair shop. They transferred the cargo out of the getaway van into separate cars in case anyone was looking for the van. That's smart. Core members of the heist returned to Robert's Lounge in the days that followed. Those meetings were intended to coordinate their stories in case anyone got picked up by law enforcement or otherwise felt compelled to speak on the matter. That's sort of smart. Coordinating stories is smart. Speaking on your own about a crime you just pulled off, not smart. James Burke, the leader, hosted a Christmas party a few days after the heist. He wanted to host a party to reward the crew. He had given strict orders not to make any large purchases and to live simply and normally following the heist in an effort to avoid being noticed. You can imagine his frustration when members of the heist rolled up to the party in expensive cars and fancy new suits and coats. James Burke had expected his men to be disciplined and follow orders about their spending. Unmet expectations are what cause anger, and James Burke was angry. He decided to launch a witness elimination program. Within weeks, members of the heist began disappearing. Parnell Edwards, aka Stax, was the first victim. He was tasked with getting rid of the van. Instead of getting rid of it, he parked in a no parking zone, which led to its discovery. He was shot dead in his apartment on December 18th, 1 week to the day after the heist. He decided, Martin Krugman, if you recall, was the bookmaker who held the debt owned by the Lufthansa insider. He was drawing attention to himself with lavish spending and bragging to friends about how much money he made. He was killed in January. Louis Kafora used some of his windfall from the heist to buy a pink Cadillac for his wife. He and his wife were found in the salvage yard shortly after the purchase in that very pink Cadillac. They had been crushed to death by the compactor at the yard. Ultimately, news reports state between 8 and 12 people were killed as a direct result of the heist and the fallout from the heist. The loot was never recovered. And the ringleader, James Burke, was never charged. He died in prison while serving time for other murders and crimes, but nothing related to the Lufthansa heist. I raised this historical and well-documented crime and the subsequent cover-up of the crime in light of the Charlie Kirk investigation. There's not one single part of me who believes Tyler Robinson did all that was alleged of him on September 10th. It's not only impossible to believe, it's fanciful. It defies logic. It is, in fact, nonsensical, and it would never and could never happen the way we are told. He did not show up to campus with 4 or 5 changes of clothes, set up in the perfect location seconds before taking a fatal shot with a 105-year-old World War I relic of a weapon, fire off a single round from a 30-06 that came from an inscribed shell casing, and somehow managed to pull off a miraculous finish when the bullet magically stopped in the 2 or 3 inches of soft tissue in Charlie's neck. None of that happened. It couldn't happen. And if it didn't happen, then that means someone else was involved. Likely, many other someone else's were involved. They had to have a ringleader, for example, an operational head, someone who planned the crime. There had to be someone in charge at the scene, whether or not it was the same person who planned the crime. In the Lufthansa heist, James Burke planned the crime, but he wasn't at the scene. In large, organized operations, the leader often isn't on the scene. The leader usually is back at the headquarters, getting real-time updates streamed back to them from on the ground or eagerly awaiting to hear from the team when the job is finished. If Charlie Kirk's death was the result of an organized hit, then you can expect that whoever planned the hit was somewhere else getting real-time updates streamed back to them. And just as with the Lufthansa heist meeting in person, after the team meeting in person after the successful operation, you'd expect to see the Charlie Kirk team meeting in person somewhere after the operation. We'll talk more about that part tonight. And finally, as so often happens after large organized criminal operations, the fallout often ends in a bloodbath. We'll talk about whether maybe that happened as well. But first, I want to get to a slideshow of all things. I don't usually do slideshows, but I didn't know any other way to present this. So I'm going to give you a slideshow. You guys either like it or you don't like it. There we go. All right. I'm going to show you something called Fairy Lake. Fairy Lake is a beautiful place. I don't know if you've ever been there. It's in Big Sky Country. It is outside of Bozeman, Montana. It's a little place. It's a nice little vacation destination. Not hugely popular, but it is something that does attract some people from time to time. This is a pretty famous spot at Fairy Lake where people get their picture taken often. I raised this because someone emailed me. Now, this is a series of tips from over the course of about a month and a half. And at first, I didn't know what to make of it. The first time somebody raised the tip to me, they sent me a notice, a tip that Brian Harpole had been seen in Montana on this day. And I was like, well, who cares? That's irrelevant to me. Brian Harpole's free to vacation. I don't even know if he still works for Charlie Kirk. At the time, this was before the Sean Ryan interview. And I thought, whatever. So I didn't even tuck it away in the back of my head. I kind of forgot about it. And this person sent me, here's a little more information about the lake. Here's a different version of that picture. This second person, so I get a second tip here recently. Well, this was probably 4 weeks ago. And it said, hey, 2 people involved at Charlie Kirk's neutralization were in the same area at the same time, and I can prove it. Now, let me back out of this for just a second, because I'm going to tell you why I didn't. Oh, I went too far. I went too fast. Let me tell you real quickly why I didn't take that person up on that tip. This is something that happens often. If you email me and you say, hey, I can prove 2 people at the Charlie Kirk investigation were in the same place at the same time a month after the neutralization, and you don't tell me how you know that, I'm not responding. I'm not going to even say thank you or, hey, can you follow up with me? Or I'm just not going to respond. Like, tell me, I love the tips because it improves the program so much. But if you don't tell me what it is you want to tell me and you're trying to farm engagement back, hey, if you call me at this number, I will tell you everything I know and it's devastating. Okay, I'm not going to call you. Now, I might call you if you put in the email what it is you want to talk about. I might call you if you put in the email who you saw and how you can prove they were there. Now, I know now who they were talking about because I got a follow-up email in the last few days from somebody saying, I can prove these 2 people were in the same place at the same time. And they gave me the names of the people and they gave me the evidence in the same email. Well, that, my friends, is a tip. That's something I'm going to act on, and that's going to give you part of the show you're getting tonight. So back to and the reason is simple, because I can't do the engagement farming back and forth. I just can't do that. Too many people are trying it. And so it would just crush my ability to prepare for a program on a daily basis. All right. So here we've got Fairy Lake outside of Bozeman, Montana. We have Fairy Lake outside of Bozeman, Montana, and we have an interesting character. I gave the game away a little bit. Rick Cutler. Rick Cutler. This is not a picture on Fairy Lake, by the way. This is a different lake picture. But I want you to see the missionary passion he has, because he has a missionary passion. This is, if you don't remember who Rick Cutler is, I will remind you. He's this guy. He's palm gun guy. I don't know that he had a palm gun. I've been pushing back on that forever. But he's the guy who pulled on his shirt sleeve like this at about the exact same time of the Big Bang. It led a lot of people to believe that this guy actually fired a palm gun. For the record, I do not believe he fired a palm gun. But this is Rick Cutler. He has a passion to see nations restored, healed, and whole. His ministry is helping bring hope and healing to victims of human trafficking through aftercare. He's also impacted those in need through a community feeding ministry, served with dedication and grace. Though he has not been serving with us for over a year, we remain grateful for his time and friendship. So this was on a missionary page. I don't even remember what organization I stabbed this from. But that was Rick Cutler. This is who he is. Once again, if you watch Candace tonight, you'll know that there is becoming a theme around Turning Point USA of human trafficking. There's absolutely a human trafficking theme developing. And I don't know. I honestly don't know why. I have my suspicions. I could expound. I could guess, but I'm going to let that kind of develop as time goes by. I do have. Someone said the site keeps freezing. Is that universal, or is that let me see here. That shouldn't be freezing. It shouldn't be freezing. But anyway, I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint here. All right, so we've got Rick Cutler. Now, what role does Rick Cutler have in a slide deck that starts in Fairy Lake? Well, interestingly enough, we have an update from Fairy Lake. This is Rick Cutler, a missionary, Guatemala, Central America. Whoever leaves houses or families or fields for my sake will inherit eternal life. This is my understanding. This is Rick Cutler's Instagram page. I don't know. But that is Rick Cutler right there, allegedly, in front of Fairy Lake. It looks kind of cold. And so I was sitting here thinking, well, that's interesting. That's obviously, it looks like Fairy Lake, but is it Fairy Lake? I mean, there might be a lot of people who think it looks like Fairy Lake. So let's go to, when did he update this profile picture? Well, there we can tell he updated. This is from my tip email inbox. This person graciously cut all this out for me. I don't know if this person wants credit or not, and I don't even know the real name. All I have is the email address. And I'm not giving that out on the air. But they graciously highlighted that this profile picture was updated October 7th, meaning it was taken before October 7th. And a lot of times when people update their profile picture, they take it, relatively recently. Well, can you still tell it's Fairy Lake just from the fact that he has the updated profile picture? Well, yes, because right here we have, where is that? About had a heat stroke today. Fairy Lake, Montana. Well, he said Fairly Lake. I can assure you there's no such place. There is a Fairy Lake, and it looks exactly like that. So they're saying absolutely beautiful. Again, he updated that picture there, and he was at that location relatively recently. So, and if you couldn't figure it out, we're going to zoom in there. Fairly Lake, Montana. We all know that's Fairy Lake. So we know Rick Cutler was at Fairy Lake on or before October 7th, in that area right there. So hold that in your mind. Don't go away from that quite yet. Because the next piece of information is shocking, but I have to set it up. I have been trying. Hold on. There's no RBC live stream right now. Is that true? Is this true? Let me see. I mean, we got people on. Let's see here. View my channel live. Oh, it's on. Sorry. I'm watching it. There's definitely a live stream. It's happening. All right. I got to get off the, I got to stop looking at the comments because you guys get me distracted. All right. I tried to find an answer to this question today. Maybe you guys can help me out. I recall there being a discussion at some point when Rick Cutler came up and the whole palm pistol discussion came up. I recall there being a discussion about whether or not Rick Cutler was a regular part of the Charlie Kirk protection team. Was he a regular part, or was this his first Charlie Kirk security event? I don't know the answer to that. I tried to find it. I will tell you right now, Grok thinks it's his first security event. Gemini thinks it's his first security event. But I don't know if they're hallucinating. I don't like, and they would not give me a citation. And so I went to 4 or 5 different groups of friends. I said, can you guys give me a citation? And nobody could provide a citation, but everybody seems to recall Rick Cutler either being very new to the team or not being a regular part of the team, or perhaps this is the very first time he was ever at a Charlie Kirk event. So one of those things is true. I don't know the answer to that. But this next character, I want to remind you who this next character is, because I have to back up a little bit to refresh your recollection of who this guy is. Does anybody remember this guy? Do you guys remember Butch Hibbs? Butch Hibbs. Now, I know this was his first Charlie Kirk event. I absolutely know this was his first Charlie Kirk event. And not only did he have access to the event. Not only was he at the event for the first time, this was his first time meeting Charlie Kirk. Not only did he meet him, like shake hands, Butch Hibbs met him behind the scenes before he could get there. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, he showed up with this suspicious little square in his pocket with rounded corners. And we know there was a square with rounded corners that ended up here on Charlie's shirt that was that exact same size. Because Charlie Kirk was wearing a Rode Go Wireless 2 microphone. Now, here's what we don't have. Do you guys remember? I'm going to come back to Butch in just a second. There's a lot more Butch to be seen here. Do you guys remember a week or so ago, Candace Owens, maybe just a couple days actually, time goes so fast. Candace Owens put out a video or a picture, a still frame of a picture of Charlie Kirk from behind. This was the disputed image that Terrell Farnsworth went and got the SD cards and pulled them out. Do you remember this? And he was called on the rug for it, and I think they started panicking, and he was like, oh my gosh, we got to cut this off. So rather than allow it to fester, he took control of the narrative and went right to the most trusted person in the Charlie Kirk investigation, Candace Owens. Because if you can convince Candace Owens it's not a big deal, guess what? No one else is going to talk about it. Ryan Madden's not going to talk about it. Sam Parker's not going to talk about it. Baron Coleman's not going to talk about it. Coach Collins not going to talk about it. Ian Carroll's not going to talk about it. I mean, generally speaking, if Candace says, I've checked into it, there's nothing to it, most of the time, the Charlie Kirk investigation moves on. Most of the time. Most of the time. Not every time, but most of the time. I think she should probably release more of it because I think it's pretty telling. I haven't really gone through it myself. I've looked at the image she released. I have strong opinions on it, but I don't want to cover it yet tonight. But that image that was taken from behind, to the left of that image was where the sound people were set up. Right before the event started, after this picture was taken, Butch Hibbs walks up to the left side where the sound guys are. From that moment on, I cannot see in Butch Hibbs's pocket that square that's in his pocket right there. I can't see it. Now, it's possible it's there. It's possible somebody has it, but I can't see it in any of the available footage. So let me pull this back up. Because you guys remember Butch. This was Butch arriving with the team, right? This is Butch Hibbs here arriving with the team. This is Dan Flood right here next to him. This is Mikey McCoy. I can't remember this guy's name. I think it's Justin, but I can't remember his name. So this is before the big arrival. I remember at the time looking at this and saying, who is this happy little boy that follows Charlie around? Who is this guy? And then I learned later it was, in fact, Mikey McCoy. But if you don't remember where Butch was standing during the event, this is a side view. We established yesterday that this right here, we believe, is a guy named Danny. I don't know if it's the same Danny that Mikey McCoy was talking to before and after the event. We'll talk about that later. I'm not ready to talk about that tonight, but at some point I want to put up the call log again and go back through it and ask, is this the Danny that he was talking to? Candace Owens' call log called him Danny McCoy, but then she came back later at another segment and said, hey, by the way, it wasn't Danny McCoy. It was another Danny, a guy who worked at TPUSA. Well, here's a Danny who works at TPUSA. Is that who Mikey McCoy was talking to? But that's Butch Hibbs. The interesting thing about these two, and I can't play it because YouTube freaks out anytime you play video from that day, particularly the closer you get to the Big Bang. But the interesting thing about this is from an angle where you can see these two at the moment of the Big Bang. Neither flinches. This guy, Butch Hibbs, just turns and looks at Danny. Doesn't look at Charlie, doesn't look at all the chaos, turns and looks at Danny. And Danny, it appears, turns and looks up at the Losi Center. He really does this. You see him sitting there with his arms folded. He really does this. He's looking in at Charlie, and then he looks up like this. Almost, I mean, in my mind, this is my opinion, It looks like he's looking at Charlie. Okay, there's the bang we were looking for. Now, is the guy running off the roof like he's supposed to? That's what it looked like to me. I don't know. I'm not accusing Danny of anything. I'm just saying if I was writing a screenplay and I wanted someone to observe the shot and then look up at the guy running off the Losi Center, that's how I would have him look. It's right out of central casting. I would just have him look in and then look up. Look in and then look up. That's how I would do it. Again, I don't know why. But this is Butch Hibbs here. Now, you'll also remember before the event, and I don't have a screen grab of it, Butch Hibbs allegedly was talking to bushes. At least he could be seen looking into the bushes awfully carefully. And then after the event, you'll remember Butch Hibbs walked around when Adam Bartholomew from Life is Driving was interviewing people. And he was listening, appeared to be listening, because at first he was like 80 feet away, 100 feet away from this conversation, and then walks and backs into the screen and is playing on his phone until this conversation ends, and then he walks back off. And again, no microphone that I can see or no square with rounded corners that I can see right here in the pocket. Again, maybe it's there and I just can't see it, but it doesn't look like it's there. It doesn't look like it's there. Well, how do we know anything about Butch Hibbs? How do we even know his name? How do we know where he came from? How do we know this is the first time Butch Hibbs had ever met Charlie Kirk? Well, everything we know comes from Frank Turek. Frank Turek is the guy who introduced the world to Butch Hibbs. Frank Turek goes on his podcast and he tells the world all about Butch Hibbs. He says, do I have it? I thought I had it pulled up. Maybe I don't. Let me see here. I thought I had it pulled up. Maybe I do. Maybe I don't. Oh, that would have been really convenient if I had it. Because it was a great little intro. Oh, come on. Be here. Be here. Oh, no, not there. Be here. Be here. No, not there. All right. Well, I tried, guys. Anyway, Frank Turek, on his podcast a few days after Charlie Kirk passes away, he introduces the world to Butch Hibbs, and he says, hey, here's Butch Hibbs. This is the amazing Butch Hibbs. Butch Hibbs was a brother, or is a brother, of Pastor Jack Hibbs. That's supposed to mean something to people. I'd never heard of Pastor Jack Hibbs before Charlie Kirk passed away. I haven't heard of a lot of these people in this movement. I'd never heard of Frank Turek. I'd never heard of Rob McCoy, America's pastor. Well, he wasn't mine. These people are just, as self-important as you get. They're what I call niche famous. They're famous in their little niche. I'll give you an example of niche famous. My family and I, we follow the sport of CrossFit pretty closely. There's a woman there, the most successful CrossFit athlete of all time. Her name's Tia Toomey. If Tia Toomey walks into a CrossFit event, she's going to be mobbed. Everyone's going to know who she is. She's an 8-time champion. She's the most famous, most decorated person of all time, fittest woman that ever lived. She's just going to be mobbed. But if Tia Toomey walked into the Publix down the road or the Target, no one there would know who she is. She's niche famous. Now, Candace Owens, she's not niche famous. She walks into Target, everyone knows who she is. Frank Turek is niche famous. He walks into a Turning Point event, people are going to mob him. He walks into the Target over on Charlotte Pike, no one knows who Frank is. Rob McCoy, the same thing. No one knows who Rob is outside of Rob's niche. He's niche famous. Jack Hibbs is the same way. So when Frank Turek comes on there and says, it's the first time I'd ever heard Jack Hibbs' name. Frank Turek goes on his podcast and he says, oh, the guy in the middle, man, you should see this pic. And he puts a picture up on the screen. He goes, the guy in the middle right there, that guy in the middle, that is Butch Hibbs. That is the brother of Pastor Jack Hibbs. And everybody's supposed to be wowed and awed. It was lost on me. It was totally 100% lost on me. But you know what wasn't lost on me? Now, I will scroll back. I want to remind you about Rick Cutler being on Ferry Lake on October 6th. I want to remind you of Rick Cutler being on Ferry Lake on November 6th or October 6th, or at least having his picture taken on October 7th. Guess who else was on Fairy Lake at that exact same time? Would it shock you to know that it was actually Burton Hibbs, a.k.a. Butch Hibbs? Butch Hibbs taking a picture at the same place in the same location at the same time? That's really odd to me. That's really odd to me. Why are these two people, both of whom, in my opinion, that I believe, both of whom had never been to a Charlie Kirk event before? Both of these people are in the same place in a state neither of them live in a vacation spot that's not like hugely popular. It's not like they're both in LA at the same time, right? They're not both in New York, and you could go, yeah, but so were 25 million other people that day. No, they were both at Fairy Lake. Fairy Lake, again, is not a monumental, massive place. Fairy Lake, Montana, if you look it up, has a Wikipedia entry that is exactly one sentence. It's exactly one sentence. Look at this. This is the entire Wikipedia entry for Fairy Lake right here. One sentence or two. It's a lake in Gallatin County, Montana, at the base of Sacagawea Peak. I guess that's Sacagawea Peak there. Part of the Bridger Mountains in south central Montana, located within the northwestern section of the Gallatin National Forest, and sits at an elevation of 7,557 feet. That is it. It has one reference link. One reference link. And so I go back in time and I think, when did that person tell me that they saw Brian Harpole? And so I go back and I look at the date. I pull up the calendar. What would be a convenient date to fly in if you're going to be there on October 6th or October 7th? Well, October 6th and 7th is a Monday and Tuesday. We know Butch Hibbs, puts his picture up on October 6th, so he at least took the picture on or before October 6th. We know Rick Cutler put his picture up on October 7th, meaning he took his picture on or before October 7th. What date was Brian Harpole seen there? So I reach out to my contact. Does anyone want to guess? I'll share it with you. He flew in to Bozeman, Montana, the afternoon of October 5th. That is what my contact says. He flew in to Bozeman, Montana on the afternoon of October 5th. Now, I know that he's alleged to have also been at Fort Huachuca on September 9th, and he has said, no, I was on a flight in Dallas. I get that. I'm telling you, I believe this is really solid. And I would be shocked if he denies he was in Bozeman, Montana on October 5th. But if he was, I'll correct it. If he can prove he was somewhere else, I'll be happy to correct it. I'll be shocked. I'll be shocked. So I'm going to, in my opinion, proceed with my next conclusion here. It is my opinion, in analyzing the fact that Butch Hibbs is on a tiny little vacation destination called Fairy Lake, that none of you, be honest, not a single one of you knew this place existed before tonight. Butch Hibbs is there. Rick Cutler's there. They both established that they were there. Unless these pictures are fake and someone faked them and sent them to me. I don't believe they are, though. And now you have Rick Cutler, Butch Hibbs, and Brian Harpole. Now, I don't have Brian Harpole at Fairy Lake, but I have evidence he was just a few miles away in Bozeman the day before at the airport. So let me do a map here. Bozeman Airport to Fairy Lake, Montana. How far is that? That is 35 miles. That is the airport you would fly into if you were going up to Fairy Lake, or if you were staying somewhere near there, Bozeman Yellowstone International Airport, and you wanted a vacation up at Fairy Lake. Now, I don't know why these people do these things. I don't know why they put stuff up on their social media for everybody to find. I had the beginning of an opening written where I talked about the differences in how people vacation today versus 25 years ago versus 50 years ago versus 100 years ago. And I asked my wife, I said, how many people do you think went on like big vacations back in the 1920s? She was like, nobody. Or I said the 1880s. She was like, nobody. I said, what about like the 1920s? She's like, very few people. What about the 1950s and 60s? A few people here and there might have gone on a vacation every so often. I said, what about 2005, 2 years before the iPhone, 2 years before social media? She's like, well, more, but you know. And I said, what did a bridesmaid party, or whatever they call that? What do they call that? Oh gosh, whatever the parties are that the bridesmaids and the groomsmen have? They, you know, when I got married, when people I knew were getting married back in the late 90s, early 2000s, you know, you might go to dinner the night before. Maybe you go, bachelorette party. That's it. Maybe you go to the bar the night before. Maybe you go to dinner the night before. Nobody thought much about it. It wasn't something you planned a lot about. Now they do bachelorette weeks in Cabo. They do bachelorette weeks in Nashville, but they all live in Seattle. They go to New York. They go to, you know, vacation destinations. These are bachelorette parties, bachelor parties. You're expected to come up with thousands of dollars and travel around the world. Why? Social media. Absolutely. I am convinced the fundamental nature of vacationing has totally changed because of social media. People didn't used to go on bachelorette week. They went to the bar the night before the wedding. And I think we wouldn't know where they were, either one of them, but for social media, because people can't help themselves. Even if they're there meeting people from the Charlie Kirk neutralization day, they can't help themselves but to put it on social media. They just can't stop themselves. They're like addicted to having people approve of their vacation pictures. Now, I want to hearken back to my opening. After the Lufthausen heist, do you remember what happened? They went and met. What did they meet about? They met about getting their stories straight and how to communicate in the event somebody wanted to speak about it. Well, this was early October. Where was Brian Harpole less than a month or so later? Well, he was on the Sean Ryan show. He was on the Sean Ryan show. About a month later. I think the show debuted on November 17th, an important day in my life. So I'm familiar. I remember that, which means it would have been filmed in the days leading up to that, maybe a week ahead of time. And I remember when they started promoting it, I'm thinking, why is this guy talking? Like, there's a legitimate investigation out there that might lead back to him. That's really bad. Why on earth is this guy talking? Well, I kind of want to go through that interview again some other time. I went through it not long, like a day or two after he did it. I got on this program and I tore him to shreds. I kind of want to do it again because I know a lot more. And in looking at this, Butch Hibbs and Brian Harpole and Rick Cutler all being right next to each other at exactly the same time, I have even more I would like to talk about. Even more I'd like to talk about. So my question is, and this is my clarion call to everyone else. Was anyone else that was there at UVU that day at this event in Fairy Lake, Montana? In Bozeman, Montana? Did anybody else fly into Bozeman or any of the surrounding airports? Did anybody go to Yellowstone in early October, October 5, 6, 7, right in there somewhere. I can't possibly track down every plane. I can't possibly look at everything. Now, I have identified many planes coming in and out of Bozeman between October 5th, 6th, and 7th. Many, many planes that look like they could potentially be involved. Private planes coming in from Scottsdale. Private planes coming in from Dallas, where Dan Flood might have been based out of. Planes going out of Bozeman to places like Denver. I've looked and I've looked and I've looked. And I have not been able to nail down specifically who else could have been at this meeting. And I'll raise this issue. If this is the only 3 people there, and if they were meeting, obviously, that's an opinion, that's an inference. We don't know that for sure. But assuming, I mean, they're in the same spot at the same time. Let's assume, for the sake of argument, they're meeting. I can't tell if it's worse if it's just the 3 of them or if there's like 6 people there or 8 people there or 10 people there. I don't know which is worse. I honestly sat here all day and I kept looking up at the ceiling because that's what I do when I get stuck. I kept looking up at the ceiling thinking, now what if Dan Flood and Terrell Farnsworth and Philip, whatever his last name, Goldsberry, those are probably the 3 or 4 next most suspicious looking people that I saw around that day. What if all of them are there? What if Frank Turek was there? That would be, I can't tell if that would be more or less suspicious. Because the more they get there, the more you think maybe they're just having like a reunion. It was a tough event. They get back to each other. Like, look, I'm not one of those people that tries to paint a narrative. I'm really trying to figure out the truth of what happened to Charlie Kirk. I'm not trying to say these guys are guilty. I'm trying to say this is a really, really suspicious looking set of circumstances. Why would all 3 of these people be there? This is a good point. They had an event at Bozeman, Montana, October 8th. So why is Butch Hibbs back there? Why is Rick Cutler back there? I thought Rick Cutler was a one and done. I thought Butch Hibbs just happened to be there. Why are these guys there 3 or 4 days early going to Ferry Lake? You see the problem? That's the problem. It's not that they flew in for the event. They're there days ahead of time, and they're all at the same spot. And Butch Hibbs supposedly was not a TPUSA regular. Butch Hibbs, instead, was one of the people who just had to meet Charlie Kirk. I wish I had that. I'll show you this. This is, I was trying to give the person credit who sent me, because they sent me a post to their Facebook or their YouTube story talking about it, and it was not available. Like the URL died. I don't know if they took the story down or what. But I wanted to give the benefit of the doubt. I want to say, hey, how is this not suspicious? Okay, yeah, there's a TPUSA event. Fine. But Butch Hibbs had never been to a TPUSA event. Rick Cutler supposedly had never been to a TPUSA event. So anyway, and again, they're not flying in on the 7th or the 8th. They're flying in days ahead of time, doing whatever it is they're doing. So that's the first story. That's the first thing. Now, this is a little speculative, what I'm about to get to here. But I feel like I have to get to it, not because I think there's a connection necessarily, but because if there is a connection, I want someone in the area that thinks they might agree with me to tell me. This is a obituary. This is an obituary for a woman who passed away, a young lady who passed away in Waverly, Tennessee. I see this story because Waverly's not far from here. I see this story on the local news. And this woman passed away on February 2nd at her home. She was a member of the pipe fitters local. And I'm looking at Waverly and I'm like, man, Waverly's right there. Pipe fitter local. Okay. So she's in the construction type trades. She'd been in the Army National Guard. And then I went and I pulled her. I don't want to show her picture. Her picture's on there. She's a beautiful young girl, 32 years old, just stunningly beautiful. But I feel like that's a little personal for someone who just passed. And I saw this story pop up and I thought, well, that's really weird. And then I went and dug around a little bit and I figured out how she passed away. And allegedly, she passed away in a horrific bloodbath that resulted in the death of 4 people at the scene. It resulted in the death of her 2 children and her mother. I believe her mother, maybe her grandmother, but some elderly woman who lived there at the house with them. I think her children were like 3 and 14 or 3 and 11, something like that. And it was just tragic. And then I kept digging and I realized, oh my gosh, she's the alleged perpetrator. She allegedly turned a weapon on her 2 children, then turned a weapon on her mother or grandmother, and then turned a weapon on herself. And I thought, oh, this is weird. So I think, is there any reason to look and just see? Was there any connection whatsoever with suspicious events in the area over there that we've talked about on this program? And again, I'm not saying it's connected. I'm not saying it's related. What I'm doing is raising the issue to see if I can suss out some tips from the area. If I can suss out some tips from the area, then I will be more certain one way or the other. If I get tips on the Real Baron podcast at gmail.com and they say, brother, there's nothing to this. We are familiar with these people. We know these things. She didn't have anything to do with it. But it seems to me I have been able to tie the local pipe fitters at local 572 to Accurate Energetic Systems. There are documents that seem to link them, that Accurate Energetic Systems may have used local 572 to do some pipe work, some welding work around the place. I don't know much about welding, so I got really deep with Gemini, Google's Gemini, and I started asking it a zillion questions about Accurate Energetic Systems, about other explosive plants, about pipe fitting, about welding. I asked it questions about other incidents where plants had exploded. Has there ever been a welding component? I get all this feedback. I get all these links. And what I can say is, until we know for certain how Accurate Energetic Systems got wiped off the map, it at least needs to be considered that the pipes may have had something to do with it. And there are a lot of pipes in the area. A lot of pipes under that place. And so I raised the issue of this murder-suicide. I hate to even say the word. Alleged. I don't know whether this woman did it. I don't know whether she was a victim. But I raised the issue solely to say, if you worked at AES or know someone who worked at AES and you have any suspicions whatsoever about what happened there and whether this woman may have ever been employed at the place, whether she ever did some contract labor there. This is someone who'd been in the Army National Guard, someone who had some armed security experience and was a pipe fitter, worked at the local 572. If you have any information whatsoever, I'm very curious if this might have some kind of a connection. Very curious. I'm not saying it does. To all my good people in Waverly, Tennessee, McEwen, Tennessee, Humphreys County, Tennessee, everyone over there, I'm not suggesting any foul play here. I mean, obviously, 4 people are dead, so there's some foul play. But I'm not suggesting foul play related to AES or related to anything to the Charlie Kirk investigation. But I am suggesting this needs to be investigated. We need to know if this is some sort of a cleanup job. Remember what happened after the Lufthausen heist. They started murdering everybody involved in it because it got a little too loosey-goosey. People were talking. A lot of people were asking questions, and it got very concerning to the top brass. The leadership who planned it got very concerned, and they immediately went out there and started whacking people. 8, 10, 12 people, their murders can be tied directly to the heist and the fallout of the heist. And so I raised the issue, and I say, guys, we need to know, is this woman guilty of, or is she complicit in what they're alleging she did? or was she a victim? And I don't know the answer to that. I'm hoping people in the area might know the answer to that. It's a very small community. It's a very small community. I'm talking hundreds of people, not tens of thousands of people. And it just seemed very out of place for me when I saw it. This is a woman who was kind of born and raised there. I guess she was born in Dixon, but raised there. And I raised the issue. I'd like someone to say it. Now, one more story. Well, maybe two. Paulina Luna. This was, again, someone in my one of my reliable tipsters raised an Paulina Luna quote that happened in passing on the PBD podcast, and I want to listen to it. I might rewind it and listen to it again. Paulina Luna is a congresswoman from Florida. She was on the PBD podcast. PBD is kind of he's a talented host. But I want you to listen to what she slips out really quickly. She's talking about the fallout from the Charlie Kirk neutralization. See if you can catch what it is I'm thinking might be important here. And I'm going to turn this up a little bit because she talks softly. So listen to see if you can figure out what I'm listening for.
These will, could have Erika have been involved in any of that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think that she at all had any connection to that. When I see that, it's like you're victimizing the victim, if that makes sense. Because at the end of the day, she did lose her husband. She lost her kids. Like, I was just with her at the White House, and she's, that's anyone. If that happened to your wife, my husband, like, it's devastating.
Did anybody catch it? Did anybody catch it? I thought that was shocking when someone played that for me or timestamped it and asked me to listen to it. I'm going to play it one more time. I want you guys to hear this. I don't want to plant this in your head. I know what it sounded like to me that she said, and I want you guys to come up with your own interpretation of what she said.
So I definitely am curious myself to see what that evidence is, but I do think that when the information isn't put out there directly, that's when you have a lot of these, could have Erika have been involved in any of that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think that she at all had any connection to that. When I see that, it's like you're victimizing the victim, if that makes sense. Because at the end of the day, she did lose her husband. She lost her kids. Like, I was just with her at the White House, and she's, that's anyone. If that happened to your wife, my husband, like, it's devastating.
Did it sound to you like she said she lost her kids? She lost her husband. She lost her kids. I mean, could this be why she has so much free time on her hand to travel all over the place? I don't know. I know that you're saying she misspoke. What I'm saying is, do you buy that she misspoke? I've heard that explanation. I wanted you to hear it without any biased preconceived notion. Who misspeaks that way? Paulina Luna's a mom. No one misspeaks that way. If you ask Mrs. Coleman to explain when a woman loses her husband, the effect it has on her, Mrs. Coleman's not going to say, oh, yes, she lost her husband, she lost her kids. No, that's not what Mrs. Coleman's going to say. Why? Because it's not what a woman would say. It doesn't make sense that a woman would say she lost her kids. Someone's asking me to play it again. I'll play it again. I've heard the misspoke. I don't buy it. I don't buy it for a second.
So I definitely am curious myself to see what that evidence is. But I do think that when the information isn't put out there directly, that's when you have a lot of these, could have Erika have been involved in any of that. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think that she at all had any connection to that. When I see that, it's like you're victimizing the victim, if that makes sense. Because at the end of the day, she did lose her husband. She lost her kids. Like, I was just with her at the White House.
She lost her husband. She lost her kids. I was just with her at the White House. I'm sorry. That does not strike me as a misspeak. That strikes me as somebody picked up the phone afterwards and said, Congresswoman, can you walk that back a little bit? We didn't want this out in the public yet. This makes her look really bad. For the record, I don't know if she lost her kids. Maybe she should. Maybe she should. I don't know. I don't know whether she should. But I'm saying I don't believe she misspoke. I think, my opinion, Anna Paulina Luna, I think she said that because she meant it. It would explain where her kids are, because every single woman I know has asked the exact same question about Charlie Kirk's 2 children. Where are they? Where are they? This woman is gone a lot. Where are the kids? Where are they? I hear people say, oh, Glenn Beck has the kids a lot. Why? Why would Glenn Beck have the kids? Charlie had a mom. Charlie had a dad. Why would Glenn Beck have the kids? Glenn Beck's no offense, but Glenn Beck's a little bit of a weirdo. I don't know that I want him to have my kids. Again, like the Bozeman, Montana thing, is there an explanation? I mean, maybe, but you got to kind of stretch it a little bit. Yeah, okay, there's a TPUSA event, and 2 people who had never been at a TPUSA event happen to both be at a TPUSA event. They both happen to go to the exact same small little lake days in advance of the TPUSA event. And Brian Harpole happened to fly in 3 days before the TPUSA event. Now, is it normal that Brian Harpole flies in 2 or 3 days before an event? No. How do we know this? When did he fly into Salt Lake City? When did he fly into Salt Lake City? Anybody he flew in on September 9th. What day did Charlie Kirk stop breathing? September 10th. So if the TPUSA event, this is an event supposedly they've been on the ground planning since August 24th, if you go back and listen to the Sean Ryan show. This is an event they had websites open. They had apps open. You could enter the information. They had schematics drawn. They were talking to the police about, you have that roof. No, you have this roof. No, I have that roof. Can I get this over here? I mean, this is days and days and days of planning, weeks of planning. But Brian Harpole doesn't fly in until September 9th. He leaves DFW at 1:48 p.m. We have that flight. How do we know that? He gave us the flight. He told us what flight he was on. It was 1:42 p.m. And if you go to Flight Radar, it was delayed until 1:48 p.m. So we know that. So I don't want to hear this, oh, well, there was an event in Bozeman, Montana on the 8th. That's why he flew in on the 5th. Well, that's unusual. And it's even more unusual that Rick Cutler, who allegedly had only been at one Charlie Kirk event, the one that Charlie Kirk passed away at, and Butch Hibbs, who had allegedly only been at one Charlie Kirk event, the one Charlie Kirk passed away at, just happened to be there at the same time and happened to be taking pictures at the same place at about the same time. That's weird. That's weird. Is it definitive evidence that there was this gigantic cabal and they were plotting the death of Charlie Kirk? Then afterwards they got together and they cut up the money that they got from wherever? No. But it doesn't rule it out. Doesn't rule it out. Is Anna Paulina Luna saying that Erika lost the kids? Is that evidence? Is that rock solid proof that Erika has lost custody of the kids and Charlie's parents have them, or Glenn Beck has them, or they're in some orphanage in Romania somewhere? No. But it's a data point. Women don't misspeak like that. And I will say this, she's not the only one who's misspoken like that. I can't remember who it was. There was someone else that said Erika won't have grandkids now. Why? Why would Erika not have grandkids now? Like, she won't have any more kids with Charlie. She won't have grandkids. And I was thinking, why would you say such a thing? I can't remember who said it, or I'd pull it up right now. Again, is that no, it's a data point. It's all data points. And what I'm suggesting is this stuff is all weird. It's all weird. Every single piece of this is as strange and weird as it could possibly get. Do you remember when she was trying to come up with an alibi for Candace, an alibi I don't believe she's given yet. She sent an image of children over to Candace. It was two kids sitting on some steps, maybe. Erika Kirk is trying to establish an alibi for where she was on September 8th or 9th. I don't remember which day the alibi was supposed to cover. But she's trying to establish this alibi. And she sends Candace an image. And according to Candace Owens, that Erika had blacked out the name at the top. And so Candace said, well, will you just send it to me without the name blacked out? I mean, I know you're saying it's from Charlie or to Charlie. I know who he is, or just remove the name altogether. Let me see the number. I remember his number. Just can you just help me out? Throw me a bone? You know, I'm trying to clear your name here. And to my knowledge, that has not been corrected. That's been like 2 weeks. Because shortly after that, people started describing what pictures might be available from Fort Huachuca. All of a sudden, she clammed up. But in that alibi, she sent a picture of two kids. The boy looked like he shaved. Like he shaved his mustache for the picture. Like he drove to the picture in a like a Jeep Wrangler, a stick shift, 4-wheel drive lifted with big mud tires. The kid looked way older than he should have been. Like 15, 16, 18 months. And now she can't provide any kind of an alibi. She won't complete the alibi she attempted to establish, which makes her look very guilty. But again, after she sent the attempted alibi, then people start saying, hey, there might be pictures floating around with Erika Kirk in the back. There might be. And if there are pictures floating around with her in the background, and she goes in and tries to establish some kind of an alibi, that'll be pretty good evidence that the alibi is a lie, and she's lost her ability to explain why she was where the picture shows she was. So instantly, it seemed like she clammed up. My opinion, I don't know I don't know what's out there, right? I'm just say all the legal disclaimers I have to say. But if you look at the picture, and she's using a picture of children that look a lot older than her kids, and then you do it in the context of Anna Paulina Luna saying she might have lost her kids, it sounds kind of, it sounds kind of interesting to me. All right, one more. I want to show the picture that Candace Owens put up on her page because I had a field day with this picture. I do not, which one do I want to put up? I'll just put up the one I had on X. Let me do that. That's easier. That way I know I'm not going to accidentally screw up. All right, here we go. Let me tighten this up so it's as big as it could possibly be. This is the picture Candace Owens put up of Charlie Kirk's hand for the YouTube censors. Let me say that this is not motion, and there is no gory wounds or anything, and it is blacked out, anything that's pretty bad. But this is part of the picture she put up. The reason I raised this picture is this dot here, this red dot here, and these dots here don't look the same color to me. They look different colors to me. This looks red. These look dark red. I mean, not dark red, dark brown, black, gray, charcoal. They don't look red to me. And I can't tell whether that's a splatter at the top up here or if that's a wound that's formed. You can't tell from the still. But this to me does not appear to be any type of blood product. That does not appear to be any kind of blood product to me. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. It is not the first time I've ever been wrong. I have been wrong many times before. And I'm open to being wrong on that one. Now, this is, of course, the image from behind that Terrell Farnsworth showed. And that image, came down this way as Charlie Kirk came up I'm not making fun of the situation for anybody who's concerned about that. I'm just trying to give you an idea of when this was. So we hear the big bang, bang. But now I owe Colin $3.13 because I clapped my hand. Oh, did it again. It's $3.13 more. Anyway, we hear the loud bang, ba-ba. And then he comes up and he starts to lean over. You can see the head up there in that image I showed. He starts to lean over and he's got the microphone still grabbed firmly in his hand. I'm talking like a tenth of a second, maybe 2, perhaps 3/10 of a second, very, very quickly after the loud bang. And he's up like this. I look at those and I say, those look like shrapnel or burn marks. Those don't look to me like, and you guys can back it up if you want to see it again. I don't want to keep putting it up on the screen. Like the little red dot, I could see, okay, that's some kind of wound maybe, like where blood is, or maybe there's a little splatter that came out and landed there. It is the splatter side. But those down here, they don't look like blood splatter to me. Again, I have been wrong before. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again in the future. But those look a lot like the little pieces of shrapnel that are in the back of the car. Those look a lot like little miniature versions of the shrapnel that Ian showed on our last show a couple nights ago coming down from the top of the tent. That's what they look like to me. I don't know. So I put that up there for you guys to tell me what you think. So final thing. I said that was going to be the final thing, but this is really the final thing. After Candace got this image, we all should have asked an obvious question. And we didn't. And shame on all of us for not asking the obvious question. The obvious question is, where is the audio from that day? They obviously have the video footage from that day. They showed it to Candace. Where's the audio from that day? Where's the audio that they were streaming live back to the ops? Where's the audio they were streaming live, they said, back to the ops? Now, you remember in my opening, I said, oftentimes the ringleader will not be present at a giant criminal conspiracy. They would be somewhere else, either getting the information streamed to them or they would be getting real-time updates, maybe from a guy off to the left side of the stage in a hat and a backpack. I don't know. I don't know when. I don't know who would give the updates, but where's the audio? Because that microphone should have still been recording after the Big Bang if nothing happened to it. I think that would definitively put the microphone to bed. Just show me the lapel microphone, the Rode Wireless Go-To microphone. Show me the footage. Let me listen to the footage from the Big Bang on. That should answer the question. No, that is going to answer the obvious question. If the audio exists, then that microphone survived the Big Bang. If the microphone survived the Big Bang, John Bray is wrong. My suspicions could be wrong. Other people are kind of grabbing onto this. I heard Candace tonight say she's at least intrigued by the notion that the microphone might have had some sort of malfunction that contributed to some weirdness on that day. I don't want to put words in her mouth. She can speak for herself. But I raise this issue and I say, in addition to us needing to see unedited copy, now that we know it's not gory, we've seen it, there's nothing bad, it doesn't, trust me, compared to the front image, that's nothing. That image from behind is nothing. Compared to the front image, which is ghastly. It is gory, it is nasty, it's gross. Compared to the front image, that is absolutely nothing. So why can't we see it? Why can't we see it? Where is it? I want the whole thing. I want from like 2 minutes ahead of time till it stopped recording 2 or 3 minutes later. I want to see what they were doing under the table. I want to see the guy slide over the table. And what did he grab on his way down? I want to see that version of all the handoffs going on back there. Where's that footage? Not the edited, tightened up, pulled in version that you showed Candace. I want the full 8K. But we got to know where the microphone is. Not where the physical microphone is, because you could buy another one. They come in twos. They obviously had two. I'm talking about where is the recording. I want to hear the stream. I want to know that that microphone was still going after the fact. That's what I want to hear. And it's my mistake for not raising it before now. If other people have, good. I hope they have. But that's something that should be very easy for TPUSA to provide. Very, very easy for TPUSA to provide. Just give us the audio, and then we'll put the microphone to bed. If you guys refuse to put the give us the audio, then the microphone's not going to bed. It's not going to bed at all. Not at all. All right, guys. Don't forget to hit the like button. That really helps the video, especially, you know, as happens. I went so quickly after Candace got off, and I know a lot of our audience comes from her. Though they watch her also, primarily. And so when she's still running, when we start, that obviously slows down our distribution. So hit the like button. That'll ramp up the distribution through the night and on into tomorrow. Hit that like button. It's especially important today. Subscribe to the program. There was something else I was going to tell you tonight. I can't remember what it was. Share it with everybody else. Oh, we're on Spotify. Do I have that on my banner here? No, I need to add it to the banner. We're on Spotify, Real Baron Podcast on Spotify. Obviously, the Grumblers know we're over there on Grumble. And here on YouTube, at least 4 days a week now, maybe going to 5 days. And if you become a member, I'm going to start rolling out member-only content. I'll start rolling out member-only content. Now, it might be probably not going to be 3-hour videos, admittedly. Might be 30-minute videos, might be an hour videos, might be occasional 15-minute updates of what I'm looking for. Like, hey, can you help me out? I'm looking for something specific. Can you feed me? Might be something like that. This might be our version of the research group. Maybe I'll do lives for the members. I'm not sure. Short lives. Again, not 3-hour lives. No hoodies. But we'll get something going there. I do want to have an active member community because I'm a part of one on another channel, and it's fun. It's fun being a part of it. So I'm going to run through. I won't call out the members, but I will put them up on the screen. Give them a little special shout out there. Baron, please add Huge in the Balkans shirt to your merch line. Oh, we are huge in the Balkans. You must be in the Balkans, Mr. Doyle. If that is your real name. I said military infiltrated the Christian church. Okay. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it at all. Go Ducks. Just wanted to hear you say it, bud. Oh, you got me. Love everything you're doing. Nothing but love from up here in Alaska. Can you give my wife, Kaylee, a shout out? Hey, Kaylee. Absolutely can. Even though you tricked me on the Go Ducks thing. Hoosiers play the Ducks tomorrow. It'll be a monumental win for the Hoosiers. I thought about going down there tomorrow, but I don't want to get in all that chaos. Brittany Rose. Holy crap. Candace's show is insane. So grateful for you both. Britt the wound nurse. Hey, wound nurse, will you look at those pictures and email me? Will you email those to me and tell me what it is I'm looking at with the dots on the arm there? It'd be very helpful. Charles Kirk, you sound like his attorney by calling him Charles. No, actually, that comes from Charles Leclerc, the Formula One driver. Some of the teams are British and don't refer to the French pronunciation of Leclerc, and they call him Charles Leclerc instead of Charles Leclerc. And so I have to stop myself all the time from calling him Charles Clerk. Switching my brain to Fort Huachuca mode after Candace brought in the Moonies and Liberty U. This is more complex than Game of Thrones. Use this $19.99 for your price of admission to the new South Korean Holocaust Museum. Okay. Duly noted. I didn't know there was I didn't know there was one. Appreciate it, guys. We're going to have some fun in this membership group. We'll get there. We're going to have some fun. I didn't realize there were so many of you signing up. I think I know who I want my first guest to be for the interview, and I think he'll go for it, and I think it'll be fun. I don't want to spoil it because he might not do it. But if he chooses to do it, I want to I want it to be somebody you guys like and respect and know for the first one. It's holy mackerel, there's a lot of these. I didn't realize it was going to take me so long to click through them. All right, there we go. Baron, I've emailed you several times on the AES interview. Not sure if you're getting them or not finding them. Sub is AES employee interview. Let me check that. Let me check it. I'll take a picture, and that way I'll remember to check it. My wife is doing the first pass now on emails most of the time. Sometimes I'll jump in there and do it, but most of the time, Mrs. Coleman is doing the first pass. Mrs. Coleman has a very discerning eye for emails. She is not one of these people that's just going to allow you to sneak something past her. I've given her strict instructions. If it's farming engagement, don't fall for it. And she knows. She knows. Just say Julie. Mitch Snow might call your hoodie color olive drab green. Love it in your show. Why olive drab green? That's not very polite. I wouldn't call your shirt drab. Of all the words you would use, wiggle on Johnny 2 times. Love you. Love you too, Veronica. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, yeah. While I'm doing this, show update tomorrow night. There will not be a program. We will be in this house watching the Hoosiers beat the Ducks. Oh, man. Are they going to rig that game so Charlie Kirk's team wins the national championship? Because wasn't he a Ducks fan? That's the only reason the Hoosiers would lose, of course. That would be terrible. Have you heard from Joe Max? No, but I got to notice my book is coming tomorrow, which means when I am next on, whether that's Saturday or probably Sunday, when I'm next on the air, the Logic book, Joe's book, will be right up here. And I will have read it. I will have gone through it. And I will have highlighted stuff. And like I sometimes grab the New American Version of the Bible back here, when we need to teach a Joe a lesson or two, I will open it up, hopefully be able to go to a prominent section of the Logic book and explain to the prominent person who needs some help with logic where it is they're going wrong. It'll be a nice refresher. I took several logic courses in college, but that was in the 90s. It'll be a nice refresher. The 90s. You know how old that makes me sound? I might as well be talking about the 1690s. I mean, it's that bad. Barone, thoughts on Mitch being skeptical about your intention, character, or was he simply reacting to the perceived insensitivity, calling him a perv given the situation he's going through, or simply a roughly landed joke? I believe it's a roughly landed joke. He pulled the same joke with me when I talked to him. I talked to him for about an hour and 45 minutes one day. Last Sunday, we talked for about almost 2 hours. I don't believe if he was trying to attack me in the comments, he certainly was not doing it face to face. We had a great conversation, very informative conversation. He helped illuminate quite a bit about his position. Who the hell is throwing all these memberships? Holy mackerel. What's the first day of the memberships, sir? Roll that beautiful bean footage. I don't see you in the membership. Not yet. Not yet. I'm going to have to drop who the first interview is going to be, and then you'll want to see it. Then you'll want to join to see it. I think I know who's going to be the first one. You know why? Because I heard him on his show talking about doing more live work. I'll give him an opportunity to do some live work. We'll do a live interview for the members, and it'll be obviously on replay for the members if they want it. Kentucky Girl 86, Renee Bellette. Is it Bellette? Bell-T-E? 635. Oh, yeah, I wasn't supposed to be. I don't give a dom. I do. Did you ever, speaking of I don't give a dom, did you ever put your story out? I'd like to read it or see it, watch it. Can you imagine a scenario where the feds could begin to regain the trust of the people? Would holding TPUSA accountable help satisfy the voting public? What will it take for this to be resolved? I'll tell you what it won't take. And I don't know whether this was calculated or if this is just one of the biggest political blunders in the history of mankind. The way Dan Bongino has come back to the podcast space after just a year away. You know, I actually broke on this podcast long before Dan Bongino, before you guys had ever heard of me, most of you. I mean, I might have had 200 subs at the time. I had inside information out of D.C. that Dan Bongino was going to get named the next day to the deputy position. I said it on air. Everybody was like, no, that's nonsense. He would never do that. They would never have. And like, while I was still on air, they were like, Trump just said they're naming Dan Bongino. You're right. I had to replay that. But anyway, I said that night that I was very torn on it because I did not think Dan could possibly be as aggressive as a deputy FBI director as he was as a podcaster. It's very easy to sit behind these microphones and say what you would do if you had power. It's a lot harder once you get in there to fight the bureaucracy. I mean, if it was easy, Trump would have done it the first term. If it was easy, Trump would be doing it now. I don't see a lot of bureaucratic fighting. I don't see a lot of guns pointed in. I see a lot more pointed our way. And so I think the first step to getting the feds to regain the trust of the people is not having an outgoing Fed start lobbing bombs at the right wing. That, I think, is a huge mistake. I don't know what they thought would happen with that. I don't know who thought that would go over well, but it's going over like a floater in the pool. It's just not doing well at all. And I have no idea who said, Dan, what you ought to do, you ought to leave the FBI and you ought to go out there and you ought to start throwing bombs at the right wing. You ought to start making fun of them, calling them nihilists, black pillars. From a fellow Hoosier, love the show, never miss an episode. Regarding Harpole, you can opt out of pick at airport. I do. And they're supposed to delete it after they take it. My source is not an airport picture, sir. That's not my source. But that doesn't mean there's not a picture of him at the airport. 3 questions. 1, what are the required legal actions for the SUV renter and rental carrier post-hospital? 2, does Bray's Mike theory support burnt hands? 3, have you ever seen a grieving widow white at her husband's memorial service? Is it wear white? Okay, so take them in order. 1, what are the legal actions for the SUV renter and rental carrier? I don't know because I'm not an expert in Utah law. I have heard that some states and some carriers and some insurance policies provide a great deal of protection to the carrier, to the like Hertz or Avis or whatever, if they don't mess with the car after a crime and they just segregate it out, that they get tremendous protection, like they get paid for it, essentially. I've heard that. And that they lose all that protection, including immunity for the crime, the moment they get the car out. But I don't know if that's true, if that's like law across the board. I don't know if that's the company here. I don't know any of that. 2, does Bray's Mike theory support burnt hands? I thought maybe, here, I'm going to have to hide your comment for this one. He brings his hands down and then you hear the boom and that's when he brings his hands up. But his shirt does all that craziness as soon as there's the boom. I wondered after seeing her image of the hand and I haven't had a chance to go back and watch all the different angles, but I wondered if when he brought his hands down, if there wasn't some element of the shirt coming up enough that some explosive debris would come out from the bottom. Because you would think anytime there's an action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Well, we see the mic come up and over, which means something would be coming down, you would think, right? I mean, that doesn't make sense. Or am I a little rusty on my Newtonian physics? 3, ever seen a grieving widow? Look, there's nothing that's normal about her grieving. Nothing. I used to be really kind of protective of the audience not bashing Erika. Y'all bring it. I mean, there's nothing normal about what's happening there. Your opening statement absolutely mirrors the plot of the movie Goodfellas. There's a reason for that, Pitsy. The movie Goodfellas was based on that scene, that heist. That's the scene. That's why it's Henry Hill. That's why Henry Hill was a character in my opening and also a character in Goodfellas. Goodfellas is based on a real life event. Now, a lot of the conversation and some of the characters were made up and all that. Henry Hill was very real. Pacino's character was very real. So yeah, good call on that. Good callback. That's a 36-year-old movie now. Got a new Roomba today, almost named it Harpole because it sucks and it's horrible as job. If anybody dies around it, then you'll... Okay, sorry. Turns out it's not too bad, so we named it Max, so we can yell, go Max. Duly noted. Oh, well, I shouldn't say that. Robert Bowles, FBI agent in charge of Utah investigation to be IC. Must have been in the know. Look at Getty website photos of him at Charlie Kirk press conference with beehive flag. Could be mistaken for Cabot. Well, let me look at him. I've never seen Robert Bowles. I did on the Google Trends. If you guys have been here a long time, I did a Google. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you're right. I did a Google Trends analysis of the name Robert Bowles. Let me show you this. This is kind of weird. Look at that. Guy does kind of look like a little bit. That's weird. He's got a faux hawk? This is a special agent in charge of Utah? He's got a medium skin fade and a faux hawk? Like, I would rather it be this guy, and I don't even know who he is. And he's got circle glasses. But I don't want the special agent in charge to have a faux hawk. I want him to have this haircut. This haircut says, I'll arrest bad guys. This haircut says, I'll do blow with the bad guys. Totally different look. Totally different meaning. I don't want you doing blow with the bad guys. I don't want you looking like you do blow with the bad guys. I want you to look like you're all business, baby. You're a G-man. Shape up or ship out. Can't have you looking like a faux hawk. Go hit the like button on the video if you're in the high IQ outfit. This is a high IQ outfit. Absolutely a high IQ outfit. You members are in for a treat. The more members we get, the more likely I am to really pour a lot of effort into creating some really fun content in there. So love your show. Don't be a Joe. Get in the know. High IQ outfit. Oh, I like that. HIQO. Like, you know how people have hats that are like FAFO? HIQO. People would ask. I mean, it's a conversation starter. People can go, like who? What you got there, big boy? And you're like, hey, this is a high IQ outfit. Back up, dummy. You wouldn't know because you're not smart enough. My sister contacted me and said my doth thou wanteth thy hiney tickled her a little bit. The first one was on January 6th at 8:43 p.m. Hit me back. Oh, that's today. I haven't read it if it's today. No, January 6th. That was 2 days ago. That was the day Ian was on. I probably haven't read that either. But I'm working on them. I'm getting through them. I got sidetracked on my quest with the three of them hanging out in Bozeman, Montana together. Super sticker, thank you. Can we get a one-time payment discount for membership? Even just a regular flat rate one-time payment. Hate recurring payment. You could join and see if you like it. You know, I'm going to try to, I'll try to get an interview up pretty quick. Cause like I said, I think I know who I want to use. I think I know who I want my first interview to be. We'll have a lot of fun with it. I love the show. Resigned from trial attorneying yesterday. Wow. Jill of all trades. 30 days to wrap things up, then semi-retirement and new passions like investigating and teaching, maybe even tutor Joe. Joe needs it. We talked recently. You were commenting recently, if I recall, Jill of all trades, about hitting the retirement button. Man, I had my retirement conversation with my team at work. That's a hard conversation. Your humble host might have gotten a little emotional. I love that team. I love that job. It's been a very difficult decision to make, but I want to spend more time with you guys. Gotta say, brother, you are seriously my favorite YouTuber now. Respect to Ian, Candace, Valhalla, Coach Colin, etc. But you are on point. Glad to be here and glad to support. Never stop. I'm doing my best, sir. The plane that did the loop over UVU went to Kalispell, Montana, then 3 hours later flew back to Texas. You know what's interesting about that? Kalispell comes up a lot. So does Bedford, Massachusetts. There's several repeating. I look at a lot of flight records, and I talked to Ian about a lot of flights. I talked to, I don't want to give away all my names. I don't know who wants to be named on this, but I talked to several people about flights a lot. Kalispell comes up a lot. And Bedford, Massachusetts comes up a lot. There are several airports that are just weird white planes, but that's different. It's like a major hub of commerce, but yeah, that's interesting. for your staff. Oh, my family. I thought you were talking about other staff. Well, thank you. They'll appreciate that. Yeah, I have to pay them, so I'll appreciate that. I have to pay them. Thank you. Before live, do a poll on the color of your hoodie. Oh, that's a good idea. But then you'll know it's down to 3. I think you can only do 3 or 4 options. Then you'll know it's down to 3 or 4. I like it better when it's like wide open and I have 9 different choices to choose from before I pick who I want to be the winner. No, I don't do that. That's not how it happens. That's not what happens. I promise. I promised I'd send a super chat tonight anyways. On behalf of my OCD, thank you for humoring me and moving your lampshade. You saw I did that. I can't. Were you the one that commented on Twitter, Christina Marie? I actually was sitting in this very chair. I turned around. I was like, all right, done. And I turned it just about a quarter turn. It's barely out of view. I thought about switching it with this lamp because this lamp doesn't have the same seam issue. There's an issue on this seam is that it's very visible. But you're welcome. You're welcome. Ask and you shall receive. I aim to please. Thank you for these memberships. We're going to have fun in this member group. I'm telling you, you guys have been asking for one. We're going to have some fun with it. That was like the 3rd week I was on the air. People were like, I want a member group. I was like, hold on now. I got a full-time job. I don't have time to dedicate to a member group yet. Do you believe Charlie knew the true Erika and her cringeworthy pretentiousness? Unfortunately, yes, I do. Unfortunately, the answer to that question, I think, is yes. It's possible, because I do it in the context of my marriage. It would be hard for me to be married and not realize that because you spend so much time with that person. But it's possible he traveled so much by the time he met her and maintained a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Not intense. That's not quite the word I'm looking for, but intense travel schedule. It's possible. You know, this new camera settings drive me crazy. I see it keep zooming in and out up here. I see the thing moving. So I apologize. I'm going to change that setting next time. This is not going to happen again. But it's possible that he traveled so much that he was gone from her enough that she was able to keep it up. But you can't keep up being a fake person forever. Like eventually your guard comes down and people realize it. Oh, was I done? Oh, yeah, I was not done. How could he not have seen how corrupt most of his friends and colleagues were unless he was involved in the corruption himself? Well, that raises a really interesting issue. My wife actually raised this issue to me yesterday or today. Like, is it possible Charlie did not know all these people around him were the way they were? Like, is that even remotely possible? I don't know. Butch Hibbs was not in a high IQ outfit. No, that was not a high IQ outfit. I would show up daily just for your laugh. You know what's funny? I don't notice it because it's been my laugh my whole life. I think I shared this, and if I haven't, I will. I had a bird that lived in my bedroom growing up. He was a dove. Good bird, but he lived in my bedroom for several years, middle school, high school. And he laughed like me. And I loved hearing him laugh, and other people didn't believe it. They're like, but birds don't laugh. It was a dove. They're like, doves don't laugh. This dove laughed. It's a ringneck dove, and it laughed. And so I have heard other people do it. I heard my bird do it. Tier 1, son. Nothing but a high IQ outfit in these neck of the woods. That's what I should have called it, is the high IQ outfit. But honestly, the whole crowd is a high IQ outfit. Well, almost the whole crowd. I'm not sure if Joe's still interloping. Where's the audio coming from CK's Rode mic? That would be extremely telling. Yes. Good question. I raised that. It was in my notes right there. I ought to show you my note here because it says we need recording from Rode GoPro wireless to mic. And then I always put an explanation under it in case I get lost and forget why I put something there. And it just says for obvious reasons. For obvious reasons. Did you say you wanted the shirt Butch Hibbs was wearing for reference research purposes? I can get the exact one. Just let me know. I did. I feel like I got everything I needed out of that. If it was easy to get, I would have gotten it. Don't get it and trouble yourself. Save the money and buy go to Culver's or something, buy a double butter burger. But thank you for the offer. Very generous. Man, this is gonna be fun. We're gonna have fun in the member group. Their hands, they both have crossed arms, but they look like they're doing something with their hands underneath their arms. Ooh, what in the actual cause? Now that's an interesting point. That is a very interesting point. Do I still have that slideshow pulled up? No, I don't. Do I still have the picture of them pulled up? No, I don't. But yeah, they both did have their hands crossed. Good call on that. Yo, Bear Own. A Bear Own. Oh, your Rocky Boys. Check Google data on Ice, Jonathan Ross, and Renee Nicole Good. They show up in a few select countries of interest days before. Nothing is organic except your podcast. Are you telling me this woman was designed to die? That would trouble my heart. That would trouble my heart. And again, I had this conversation with, I don't know if it was Sam Parker. I talked to Sam Parker the other day, and we had this conversation. I said, a lot of people trash the Google Trends because they don't know how it works. And if you don't know how it works, then it's really not very helpful. And it looks very foolish. But if you know how it works, I said it's about 100 data points before you really figure out whether you have something or not. And if 80 of those data points are good, then let's go with it. If 30 are good, then that's probably not going to use it. But it involves like getting 4 and 5 time ranges from this year and then backing it up, those same 4 or 5 time ranges every year for the last 5 years. Then it involves doing all those time ranges in 4 or 5 different English-speaking countries, the same 3 or 4 or 5 foreign countries, to determine whether or not there's any kind of consistency across the board. Now, you would know if you do all that and it only shows up this year in like 3 countries, you'd say, and it shows up across all the time ranges, but the same dates. Now you've got the beginnings of something special. Now you've got some noise. Now you've eliminated a lot of noise. But if you just do one search and you go last 12 months and go, oh, there they are in Israel. Well, it doesn't tell us a lot. It doesn't tell us very much at all. So I'd have to really put some time into that, which is why I don't often do these on the fly. I used to do them on the fly just for fun. Man, that autofocus is killing me. Money for being one of God's good and humble servants. By the way, have you considered praying a 9-day novena rosary for Andrew Colvette? My wife is the queen of the novena. My wife and one of my children loves novenas. So maybe I will, I would need somebody to hold me accountable. I'm not good at stuff like that. Like we do our prayers before bed. I go to mass. Like there's a lot I could do to be a much better person. And I do my best. I do what I can. New merch, be here. Hold, please. Hold, please is going to have to be there. I didn't know you guys love that so much. Rick Holler's shirt sleeve tug was likely what detonated the device in Charlie Kirk's mind. I don't know that. But I will say it does look like he's holding something in his hand. There's a little hole here in between his fingers. It looks like he's doing that. More than a palm gun or more. It does look like there's something there. And I'm not sure what he's doing. I don't know if he had something up there, if there's some squeeze he had to do, but he needed to make sure he had a line. I don't know. Or if he just scratched his arm. Like he'd been sitting there and he's like, man, my arm itches. Oh gosh, what was that? Like it might have nothing to do with it. And it just, in the moment, looks suspicious. How likely is it that a shape charge was triggered by the loud boom of a real rifle? We've asked that question quite a bit. I don't know. Something would have to trigger, usually an electrical impulse of some sort, would have to trigger some sort of explosion. I don't know what that could be. Phil Lyman, Rick Cutler, Tim Ballard all worked on the underground child trafficking railroad operation together. So I am also looking into that and a lot of the allegations out of a lot of those operations. Let me just tell you right now, I'm glad there are people who are willing to work on child trafficking, but you have to understand that any kind of business that gives you access to at-risk children is going to draw predators in like crazy. And that's the terrifying part of it. You know, if let's say you're a child predator, you shouldn't be, obviously. Let's say you are. And you want to abuse children. Like that's like that. Don't do it. Horrible. You know, you deserve the worst justice if you get caught, or if you do it, you deserve the justice. But let's just say that's your thing. The absolute best way to put yourself in a position to achieve that purpose would be to find an organization like this and get involved. Because you're going to run into all kinds of children who are missing, who are already off the map, who are already predisposed to put up with that type of behavior. So it doesn't surprise me at all that degenerates and deviants and creeps are drawn to those organizations. It doesn't remotely surprise me. And it's terrifying. Tinfoil hat thought, when I heard that Tyler Boyer insisted Charlie Kirk move to TPUSA to Arizona, I instantly thought of child trafficking. Arizona's right on the border and hot spot for trafficking. You're not the only one that thought that. You're not at all the only one that thought that. Wasn't Candace in Montana that week? I don't know. That would be weird. Was she? No, I'm just kidding. She's fine. Baron, that's a high IQ outfit you got on today. Ooh, I see what you did there. Thanks for all your wisdom and helping solve this case one day at a time. We are doing our best to solve the case, one day at a time. I was a bridesmaid in 11 weddings during this bachelorette era. It sucked. There's also engagement parties, showers in multiple cities, bridesmaid and wedding dress shopping. Here's what I would do, Charlie's Angels. I don't have 11 friends. Like, I don't know 11 people who would have me in their wedding. I can only think of like 3 who might, if they got married, like some of them are already married, obviously, but I can think of like 3 people who, if they got married, would be like, you want to be in my wedding? So 11, you are either in massive wedding parties or very close with people. Like, have a very blessed life of a lot of friends. Here's what I would do, though. If somebody asked me to be in a wedding and were going to require me to do all that stuff, I would say, here's my budget for your wedding. It's $500. That includes dress or tux. That includes travel, lodging. That's my budget. If that budget won't work for your wedding party, then I will be a guest and I will love it. And I will love you and I will give you a gift and we will be friends. But I am not going to spend more than $500 on your wedding. I hope you understand. And I think more women should do that and more men should do that, and this nonsense would stop. Between you and me, it's pronounced niche. No, it's niche. See how I just like no? From the French word niche and the Latin word nidus, nidus, both meaning to nest and nest. Hey, listen. I'm not pretentious. I got a little redneck in me. Raised in the South, lived in the South most of my life. I think 9 total years in Indiana, a year in Pennsylvania, a couple years in Florida, all the rest of it in Alabama and Tennessee. It's niche. It's niche. I can't tell. I'm sorry. It is just niche. See, go Hoosiers. There you go. Is it legal for you to reach out to Tyler's lawyer with evidence? Well, sure, it's legal, but I'm not going to. Random question. Sorry. Go Max. Love Baron podcast. Christian. Hey, my new 5 sister is 19. Let me tell you something. Yes, it's legal for me to reach out to them. I am not going to reach out to them because then at that point, I'm no longer just covering the case. I'm invested in the outcome of a particular defendant. And I'm not going to do that. Look, if they're not watching Candace and some of these other podcasts, or they don't have people watching it on their behalf, or at least watching it on 3x speed, saying, is there anything to, is this really all just conspiracy theory? Or are there really some leads we need to run down? If they're not doing that, honestly, hate to say this. They're bad lawyers. I do believe that. If they're not paying attention to what's happening out here in the investigation, they're bad lawyers. And I don't believe they're bad lawyers. So I believe they're probably paying some attention to what's going on out here. But I don't know. But thanks for the generous donation there. Let's see. I just said they might be bad lawyers. I shouldn't have said that. Social media is nothing but a way to delude people into thinking you have a wonderful and perfect life. That's why mental health is challenging for our teens and youth. Heck, for all of us, really. I don't know that I would say it's nothing but a way to delude, but it is turned in primarily to a way to delude, and that's what I mean by that. I do think there are people who take vacations solely to post the pictures to social media, and that makes me sad. I don't think that should happen. That would break my heart if somebody spent hundreds or thousands of dollars in order to create a scenario for pictures to put on Facebook. That would break my heart. Baron, check your email. Brian went on a tour to correct any stories that generated or would generate public speculation. Sadly, Gary took the bait so easily. I'm aware he went on a couple podcasts. He went on Sean Ryan and Gary. He even gave Gary a shout out on the Sean Ryan show. He's like, yeah, if only more people could be like Gary. Like, what, outing Andrew Colvette as that's what you're wanting him to be? I've been to Fairy Lake with best friend who lives in Bozeman. I double checked with her and she confirmed she has been to Fairy Lake at least 15 times and sent pictures. I sent her that picture and said it's 100% Fairy Lake. Oh, I believed it was Fairy Lake. Thank you for your confirmation. Not a single ounce of me doubted that was Fairy Lake. There's footage of Rick Cutler after he tugged on the sleeve the moment Charlie Kirk was struck when Rick appeared to remove something from inside that same sleeve. I've not seen that. Remove something from inside the sleeve? Is this true? Hey, guys, you got to get that like button up. Only 70-something hundred likes. And there's almost 17,000 of you hanging out, 16,000. We don't even have half of you have liked it. Is it because the Zoom keeps messing up? I'm telling you, I'll fix that setting. I can't do it while I'm live, so I got to reset the camera. Love the show, Baron. Preaching truth. Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. Thank you. Very kind. Very kind. Yes. I'm aware of this. I was aware of that before, but he did not come in 3 days ahead of time. He did not come in 3 days ahead of time at UVU. Why did he come in 3 days ahead of time here? Can we expect that Calvary Chapel episode? Waiting with bated breath. Need Altoids. Brush your teeth, ma'am or sir. You still think Bruce Hibbs is special effects artist Mike McKeish? Oh, Mikesh, you think he is? I don't think he is. You think he is? I saw somebody thought he was Yoda. There was a security guard a while back. I can't remember his real name. He was a former cop, I think out of Las Vegas or somewhere. I think he was out of Las Vegas. Wait a minute. That just put something together in my head. He does look a lot like Butch Hibbs, and somebody on Twitter had mistaken him for Butch Hibbs. And I was like, no, that's this guy named Yoda. I had to dig up my old notes and figure out what his real name is. I hadn't seen him in like 5 years. I have no idea what he looks like now. Might look just like. He looked pretty similar. He just didn't have hair, but Butch was, old boy was wearing a hat, if you remember. In the Sean Ryan interview with Harpole, he said the guys were on a trip together to decompress. Could it be they went to Fairy Lake? Possible. Not sure why Hibbs would be there unless, guys, Hibbs was not supposed to be part of the team. Hibbs was not on Charlie Kirk's security team. Frank Turek tells us that Jack Hibbs called Charlie Kirk and said, can my brother join you guys? That was the story. That was the story Frank Turek gave. That Butch Hibbs was there as a favor to his brother because Butch Hibbs was just dying to meet Charlie Kirk. That was the story that Frank Turek gave us. So why is he in Bozeman, Montana, if it's a retreat for the boys to decompress? Brian did say on Sean Ryan his team was away to retreat. Yeah, you got it. That must have been the section I was talking about that. I've got the little case of the hiccup starting to come through. Ferry Lake is 30 miles away from U.S. Army National Guard Psychological Services Training Facility and more. What? Is that true? Is that true? Where is this? Fort Harrison? Montana? Where is Fort Harrison, Montana? Yeah, it's right there, isn't it? That's pretty wild. Is that only 30 minutes? It looks a lot farther than that. Well, I'm not going to draw a conclusion from that, but that's pretty wild. Turk's first time at a TPUSA event too. Is that true? I don't know if that's true. He also said he asked Charlie, then Charlie asked him to go. I've never heard a pastor lie so much. When did Turk signal as compared to Van Door open and close? I am not convinced the Van Door opening and closing had much to do with it. I mean, people move around in the background of events like that a lot. They need to reach in and grab something. I don't know. Could be. I'm not saying it doesn't have anything to do with it. I'm saying I'm not a huge believer that it does. But that's interesting. When did he signal? I think he signaled after the van door went up. I'm not 100% sure about that. I have to go back and watch the video, and I can't do that on air because YouTube loses their friggin' mind anytime you do it. Thank you. Very generous. Baron, you need a deep purple hoodie. It would make your man bun look fabulous. Talking about that man bun back there. Should I grow out a man bun? Ian used to have a man bun. But then I noticed he went short, so it must be easier to maintain. I'm a Bozeman gal. Woo! Montana State Bobcats just won the FCS National Championship in Nashville this week. I wish I'd have known. I thereby request your next hoodie be dark blue in honor. Is that their color? Go Max from your favorite law student. Oh, Sparkle. You're the are you Sparkle or Sparky? Sparky. You're the law student. Good luck. Good luck indeed. I could probably swing a dark blue hoodie. I don't really have I do have a navy blue hoodie. I don't wear it very often. Always follow the money, right? So how do we find out when Butch Hibbs buys his wife a fur coat or Rick buys the pink Cadillac? The Sean Ryan Show interview is all I needed to see that Butch Hibbs was suspect. His lip quivered just like Mikey. Oh, Brian Harpole was suspect. His lip quivered just like Mikey's. Yeah. Gosh, I hate to say people are suspects. I've really not tried to do that on this program. But if I had to, let me say this. If I had to put on a scale of 1 to 10 how much I trust Brian Harpole, I would probably put it less than 4, like 3.5. He's a 3.5 to me. Not in looks. I'm not being so shallow right now as to judge him on looks. But I'll put him at a 3.5 on the veracity meter. The veracity meter. I got to get one of those on the screen, and when someone's talking, I just raise it or lower it. That would be amazing. Holy mackerel, that's a lot of supers tonight, guys. I don't know if I'm going to get through all of them. I know I'm not going to get through all of them. I don't know. I'll get through a lot. She does say lost her kids, in my opinion. Yes. You're talking about Anna Paulina Luna. She does say lost her kids. That may also explain when Candace was told that Erika had been tied up with something personal that took her longer to respond with her alibi. Yeah. I mean, there's something to this kid thing. There are too many people around her making mistakes, acting like she doesn't have access to the kids anymore. That's too weird. The faceless kids were props. They probably back at the Calvary Chapel orphanage, the one that delivers kids age 4 years and 10 months. What? I don't know that. Hey, that's the commenter, not me. That's the commenter's opinion. I don't have an opinion on that. I don't even know what that means. I remember a friend who moved in with them lost their house in the Palisades fire. Where is she? Ooh, I don't know. That's a good question. That's a great question. As Candace said, there are too many firsts on the day of the Big Bang. Yes, she got off of that. She needs to get back on that. she has the timeline. She has the call log. She needs the first. And the Egyptian plane log, she needs the firsts. All the firsts that were on that day need to be up, accessible. I told her how to run her show like she doesn't have a biggest podcast in America. Hey, Candace, here's how you should run your podcast. Erika Kirk always seems to always sprinkle in truth with her lies. Most liars do. When her response to the Egyptian plane was, I was pregnant, I believe that, unless I'm wrong. They started following her after she would have found out she was pregnant. I've never looked too deep. I'll be honest. I've never looked too deep into the Egyptian planes. I wish I had. I just have not been somebody that's looked terribly deep into those. Besides being a psycho, why would Erika lose her kids? Also, the other day, Coach Colin commented that maybe Erika can't provide an alibi because where she was that day may be even worse. I've thought of that, particularly if she was with a man. Like, I'm not sure at this point, because your husband's dead, so it's not like he's going to be mad. I'm not sure at this point it's better to say I was with old boy. I don't know who old boy is. Insert name of old boy. Hey, let me tell you what happened, Coach Colin. I clapped my hands like this, and I was like, "Oh, that's what Colin does." And I stole the clap. And he charged me $3.13 for it. And I paid him. I paid him $4.99. I told him to keep the $1.86 change. I gave it to him in the form of a super chat. But that man, he'll protect his IP. You better watch out. If you go clapping in public, you go clapping on camera, Colin's going to come calling. He's going to want his $33. Apparently, it's $3.13 per clap. I'm surprised nobody's hired a PI to follow Erika or her parents. Maybe is crazy thought. How do you know they haven't? Paulina Luna's body language showed she knew she spilled something she wasn't supposed to. Whoopsie. Yeah, it slipped out. I am convinced. Look, my opinion, I don't know, but I'm convinced when you would have a hard time convincing me that when Paulina Luna said lost her kids, she didn't actually mean lost her kids. You don't misspeak and say that. You know how many people I know who have lost somebody? I would never say they lost their kids. Oh, man. You know, Betty Sue down the road. Betty Sue lost her husband, lost her kids. Oh, I didn't mean to say that. Well, then why the hell did you say it? What a weird thing to say. What a really weird thing to say. Why would those words ever cross your mind? Berry Lake is in Gallatin County, which has fallen under FBI's Bozeman resident agency, which reports up to Salt Lake City office running Kirk case. A new office for Billings, Montana was announced in September and opened early December, and now Berry Lake reports to it. Well, now that we have the full history of the jurisdiction of the FBI over Gallatin County, I'm just kidding. I appreciate that. Not everybody appreciates such jurisdictional correctness, but me, I want to be jurisdictionally sound. So thank you very much. The 1 hour, 7 minute mark on Tucker's new interview with Megyn Kelly. She talks about how she is starting to realize there's a group of people whose priority is her priority is to Israel above all friendships and love relationships potential. I heard that. I have trouble deciphering Megyn Kelly. Here's my comment to Megyn Kelly. And I like Megyn Kelly. And I like Tucker a lot. Here's my comment to both of them. Pick a side. I mean, it's clear what the sides are by now. Pick a side. And when you pick a side, you pick the side and all the side dishes that go with it. Like, in other words, pick a plate off the menu. There's a couple of 3 plates you can choose from on this menu. Pick one and understand the sides that are on the menu, they come with it. And if you're hungry, you better eat them. Like that's going to be your plate. Here's my plate. I ordered the steak, and it comes with a baked potato, roasted asparagus, and béarnaise sauce. And that's your plate. The Charlie Kirk investigation, loyalty to foreign countries, All of that is determined on the menu. And they all come together. What you cannot do is go into the restaurant and say, I would like the steak, but I don't want the potato or the broccoli. Instead, the potato and the asparagus, I'd like the broccoli and the creamed corn. No, they're not going to do that. That's not what you're given. You pick one. And it seems like Kelly's trying to play cafeteria on this. I want the steak, but I want the creamed corn. I don't want the baked potato. It doesn't work that way. Because these are logically structured. Like, my tagline is intellectually honest, philosophically consistent. What I mean by that is, when I look at what's going on in Venezuela, when I look what's going on in Iran, when I look at the Minnesota ICE shooting, when I look at all this stuff, I have an intellectual and philosophical framework for how I view the world. And the stories come in and are filtered through that framework, and that's what I believe. I don't switch back and forth from story to story. Like, I have a philosophical framework for how I view the world. You guys are learning a little bit about it as time goes by. You'll learn a lot more as more time goes by as we cover other stories. Now, you might not agree with everything. I listen to Tucker all the time. I don't agree with a third of what he says, but I love him because I think he has an intellectual framework that he abides by. It's the people who you can't tell what they're going to say. This is what's happened to what is Colin calling Balak's tones? It's what happened to Alex Jones recently. It's what's happened to Stephen Gardner went through this. Like, Stephen Gardner started out pretty intellectually curious on the Charlie Kirk thing, and then all of a sudden a light switch flipped, and he was no longer curious. He was like, Fed slop narrative 100%. Same thing with Alex. Fed slop narrative 100%. That doesn't fit your philosophical framework that I've known for 15, 20 years from you, Alex. Like, that doesn't fit it. And so you won't catch that from me. Like, you might not agree with everything I say, but when you hear a story in the news, you should say, I bet Barron thinks this, and here's why. Because I know he believes X, Y, and Z. And if I filter that story through X, Y, and Z, I can probably guess what he's going to say. And then tune in, and if I disagree with it, then I owe you an explanation why. And it better be a philosophically consistent and intellectually honest explanation. Because if it's not, then I'm no better than anybody else. Why are you wasting your time with me? If I flop philosophies from story to story, that's outcome determinative justice. I worked for a judge that way one time. When I was in law school, I worked for a Supreme Court judge, not a United States Supreme Court, but a state Supreme Court judge. And he had a certain philosophical framework we analyzed cases through. He shared it with us, and he said, I expect you to prepare the paperwork accordingly. And so I did. I prepared the paperwork on this case, but the way I prepared it, it would have resulted in a multi-state drug lord getting let out of prison. And he freaked out on me. He was like, we will never, ever, ever have something come out of this office that results in that guy getting out of prison. And I was like, well, that's outcome determinative justice. He's like, well, when it comes to these guys, yeah. You're just like everyone else. You have no framework. You say you do, but only when it's convenient. Did you see Candace say there was no security set up for September 11th in Colorado, almost like they knew he wouldn't be there? I did. I would suggest there are other stops where that was the case. I've known about that. But that was not my story. And I'm not one of those people that's going to rush out and try to undercut somebody. I was well aware that she was going to break that at some point. And rightfully so. I mean, she earned that one. She tracked down the people. But yes, I was so glad when she said it because it confirms what I've been saying. He was not leaving Orem, Utah that day. That's why I think there were multiple items. I think there was something with the microphone. I think there was something with the electricity. I think there was something with that happened under the table. I think there was something with his right arm that produced those two little prod marks. I think there was something that took place in the car. There might have been something that took place in the hospital. He was not leaving Orem, Utah. He was never leaving there alive. He was not going to be at that church the next day. He wasn't going to be at Utah State 2 weeks, 3 weeks later. If she lost her kids, then why try to give an alibi that included kids that you can tell are the wrong ages? What would be the reason for her to do that? Clearly, she told Candace that was them. Yeah. But that was while Charlie was still alive. I mean, the alibi she was trying to give was for the night before, the day before, 2 days before Charlie died. So that's different. Red dot on the thumb is blood spatter. It's too early after the big boom to have begun bleeding. Other things look like shrapnel. That was my interpretation, Gary. That was mine, and you've been a great commenter. So if you and I both feel that, I'm assuming we're not alone. Hey, Baron, what's your thoughts on the parents trying to get custody? Can we actually verify? My favorite podcast, by the way. Please do the $7,000 joke. That was my fave. Maybe another time. Maybe another time. I don't know that the parents are trying to get custody. Is that true? I don't know that. I keep hearing that, but I've not seen a link to that. I've not seen a story to that. I've not seen it in the news. Van Allen Radiation Belt changed her name, ladies and gentlemen, for this broadcast. Look at the CMW picks from the day, the 19th pick. Charlie Kirk turned to left, mic in hand, zoom in and hold, no blood, no cut. Yes, that's correct. No blood, no cut. I've done that. I actually put that up on this program, I think. This is a good question. I get it a lot. Why was he using a lapel mic and a handheld mic? And I've answered this several times, but I want everyone to know this because it is confusing and it needs to be clear. The handheld mic was going out over the PA system to the audience. The lapel mic was going to the cameras that they're using from the different angles to produce content for YouTube after the event. You would not want to capture audio for YouTube via a PA mic. It would sound terrible. So you would capture it on a different microphone. That's what I've been told. That's what I've been told. Now, it could be they put it on there because they wanted to explode it. I'm just getting started. Great show. Thank you. I hope you enjoy the rest of it. Nicki Minaj caught herself in a huge misspeak moment, but an educated congresswoman like Anna Paulina Luna can't. No, I mean, Anna Paulina Luna can catch herself in a misspeak moment, but not on she lost her kids. Like that's thank you for the generosity. That's not something that I'm going to buy. Do I know who else was employed by Harpole? Since it was this company contracted with TP, I'm sure there are many more players we've never seen in the events. I think, yeah, my understanding is he has many teams. So that's a good question. Erika's family, having ties with military, sought their help in the end. Kids could be Kevitz, and Charlie knew the affair or her background. Why would he sleep in daughter's bed the night of? Life insurance was paid to CEO. Yeah, so you're hitting like 5 different stories at once in one comment. So let me kind of do the best I can to answer them all at once. Obviously, her mother being a military contractor and her dad allegedly having military contracting ties complicates the story when you think there might be a military involvement. But we can't say beyond what I just said as fact. That is a fact that it does, in my opinion, complicate it. Whether the kids or somebody else's, I've certainly speculated it. They look nothing like Charlie. But I mean, I've got 8 kids. They don't all look the same. Some of them look more like me than others, but maybe. I'm just kidding. They're all mine. I do believe there were marriage problems, significant marriage problems. The sleeping in the daughter's bed was a giveaway. The fact that he had an apartment that she called a way station on the way to the office. He lived 18 minutes from the office. He did not need an apartment to stop in because the drive was just too taxing on him. So there's a lot more than meets the eye here. Baron, raise this to everyone investigating, including your good self. Brian Harpole was interviewed by Gary from Paramount. Limp before Sean Ryan, just released later. He admitted to not treating Charlie on ground. I didn't watch that interview, frankly. The interview with Sean Ryan was so bad that I didn't watch it. Maybe I'll go back and watch it. I don't know. Maybe I'll go back and watch it. Maybe I will. Hey, if y'all want to become a member, go ahead and do that. Like I said, I think I've got the first person that I want to do the members only interview with. Detective Emma, true crime. I'm not really buying it, but judge awarded custody to the children. Judge awarded custody of the children to their grandparents. Oh, is there someone saying that? Detective Emma, true crime? I don't know who that is. Is she credible? Did she provide a source? Or she just say it? If you look at the hands in the casket, the marks are in the same area. I noticed that. Makeup did not cover it up. Thanks for all you do, man. Well, thank you for your generosity. I did notice that as well. They absolutely are not in the same area. No, the audio, the original sound when it happened sounded like a heavy caliber round. Even commented to my dad when you had your guest on about the video. It sounded like a 22, not a 30-06. You're saying it did or didn't? I'm having trouble following you. I wish I could answer that better because I don't know what you mean, because on the one hand, you're saying it did sound like a heavy caliber round. And then at the end, you're saying it sounded like a 22, which is decidedly not a heavy caliber round. And 22 is a little bitty round. Obviously the same diameter as a 223, but just almost no powder. I mean, they don't fly very hot. I must have promoted the new member thing about 754. Because all these are at 754. I recognize so many of these names from the comments as I watch them fly by. Baron, where's the audio? Where is the audio is the question. The audio would tell us the proximity of the Big Bang go back. Yeah, that's the thing. I would love to hear the audio. And to see, did the audio survive the Big Bang? And keep in mind, we have two different channels. We have the PA going out and we have the road. There may be others. Some of those other cameras might have captured audio. It'd be interesting to have all that audio. Why is Butch wearing the same shirt that Brian Harpole is wearing in this Sean interview? I don't think it's precisely the same, is it? Sean, Ryan, Brian Harpole. Let me see here. I almost closed you guys out. That would have been into the show. No, it's not the exact same. It's a little different. Sorry. Okay. So glad you're with us full time. You're my number one now. Love your voice, humor, and logic. Had withdrawals last night, so I fell asleep to old episodes. Bella Blue, I'm sorry. I had to take a night off. I get exhausted. It's hard talking this loud for 3 hours in a row and then do it 3 days in a row. You need a night off to recover. If I lose my voice, you'll have real withdrawals. I'll be weeks off. I will warn you guys, I do lose my voice about once every year or two for a week or two. And I end up talking like this. Watch the first video from the front. At the very end of the video, blood seeps from his right ear. I've heard that. Can miss it because of the net gushing entry wound. I've heard that. I don't buy that. You know, I appreciate you joining. I appreciate you being generous. But I don't buy that. I think it's just a shadow. I don't think it's blood in the ear. If he got shot in the ear, there would be significant damage coming out. It wouldn't all flow this way. I don't think that's true. Wasn't JD Vance recently in Bozeman? Unexpected trip in December? Possibly. On January 2nd, a judge ruled that custody of her children will be awarded to their paternal grandparents, marking a significant legal development in the ongoing family conflict. If AI said that, I don't buy it. Show me a link. I'll be happy to review that. Let me see here. Charlie Kirk, children, custody, January to, let's see there. News. I don't know. I'm not buying it yet. See, here's what happens with AI. Let me explain this to you. When everybody goes and searches certain questions, AI interprets that as the event might have happened. So when everybody goes and runs to X and is like, or X is saying it, somebody on X starts saying it and it starts getting passed around, Grok reads that and goes, oh, it must have happened. Or Gemini on Google reads of all these searches and goes, oh, must have lost custody. So you got to be careful. When you ask AI a question, always, a couple of rules with asking AI questions, like a Google search, but ask it the question. Say, did Charlie Kirk's wife, Erika, lose custody of her children? Period. Or question mark. When answering, provide a link to your source and do not speculate. Only state things you can back up with certainty and factual sources. And then you're more likely to eliminate a lot of the hallucination. Is TPUSA being included in the FBI's Arctic Frost investigation list, similar to how Catholics were flagged in the 2023 FBI memo, potentially related to an order being given to take out CK? I don't know if TPUSA was on Arctic Frost. I want to say they were not, but I don't remember. There were a whole bunch of people on there. There were a lot of senators, I think, were on there, and a lot of conservative groups. So I'll have to go through there and check. They have an Arctic Frost list that they produced. And I can't remember. I for the life of me, can't remember who all was on it. I'll go back and check. Hold me to that. If I come on next time and I haven't answered that, remind me in the comments. I'll stop and look it up live. I can't do it tonight because we only have 37 minutes left and we're not even halfway through these comments, which means we're just going to have to start going a little quicker. I might have to leave these up for half a second less. New members. Thank you, by the way. All the new members, thank you. I promise you, I'm going to give you members only content. And hopefully you guys will share the word. Say, it was good. It was good. It might be just random thoughts in the middle of the day that are 5 minutes long, but you'll get them. You'll get my random thoughts. Devil's advocate, the red on his thumb looks like a blood bruise he might have had. The black could be from signing hats and missing the marker lid. Yeah, the only problem with that, and I brought that up for a reason. The only problem with that is he did not have those in the images immediately taken before. Like I have pictures from Charles McClintock Wilson. They're not there. They're not there. They're not there. Someone said look into Presidio. I have. And there was a lot of child allegations, we'll say. And I'll look at it. Go Max, living for his glory daily. Thank you. Thank you. All right. This may have been said as I started late. There were people saying CPS had been called and it is known Glenn Buck has had the children a lot. What was CPS called for? That's what I'm saying. Like, I want detail. I would love to know, here's who reported it. Here's why they're saying it. Here's what we know. I'm not asking for everybody to do like a Ian, Barron, Candace deep dive. That's not what I'm asking. But like, I'm intrigued by this child thing. I don't think Anna Paulina Luna misspoke. I don't. It's possible she did, but I just don't think so. I think she actually said those things because she let it slip. Let it slip. If it's not Coach Colin, he may turn down the VP job. I'll be honest. That's who I had in mind. Plus, you owe him for borrowing his clap. Great job, Baron and fan. It's probably the old, keep going, Max. Baron. Hey, listen, it's probably the only way I can afford to keep using his clap. Like, let's do an interview together. I'll do him a solid. He does me a solid. But that's who I had in mind. That's who I would like to interview first. I've gotten to like him a lot here lately. We've been trading texts back and forth, and I've just become a fan. I've just become a fan of his game, the way he does his show. He's got a very good sense of humor. A huge fan of Colin. If you don't follow Coach Colin, you're missing out. Thank you for sharing Baron with us. Go Beavers. Oh, thank you, Ian, for sharing Baron with us. Go Beavers. Go Beavers. Who are the Beavers? Who are the Beavers? Oh, is that Oregon State? Yes. Go Beavers indeed. Go Beavers indeed. Let's see. Someone said something about a music video. Sorry. I just don't know. I don't know about that one. Oh, okay. I'm pulling this one up because I've seen this a lot. So watched a YouTube video yesterday from you from 2006. No wiggles, not at all. Honest question. Did that happen when you quit drinking? Love your show. No, it did not happen when I quit drinking. But when I did that video, I did not drink nearly as much coffee. And so I think the wiggles honestly are caffeine induced. I don't think I'd do that at 9 a.m. But by the time I had a coffee in here that I finished right as I went on the air at 6:30 at night. So I think the wiggles do come from the coffee more than anything else. Because that's the strongest stuff I get in my system. I got off nicotine. I got off alcohol. I didn't really do drugs, but unless you count those two. But coffee, I do partake. I do partake. But yeah, I've seen that video floating around. In fact, can't remember who sent me that video recently and said a bunch of his friends have sent that to him and thought it was hilarious. What I said is you saw gigantic alcoholic face Baron. That was big old alcohol face Baron. That was a hard drinking era. I can't find any Erika pregnancy pics. Yeah, they've addressed that. They would not allow her to be seen pregnant for whatever reason. And that's obviously suspicious to me. Now I think those are her kids. Notice I say I think. I don't know. But I think. Love your courage and unstoppable drive for truth. Christ is King. Thank you. Christ is King indeed. Yeah, I mean, my thought is if everybody's showing up in Bozeman 3 days before they're supposed to be there and they all look like they're hanging out at the same park, I want to bring it to your attention, let you know. If somebody passes away in a really suspicious way that might have had some work at the AES plant, I don't know whether she did or not, but if so, I want your opinions because that's going to those things generate tips. Just like somebody a couple of months ago saying, hey, I just saw Brian Harpole in the airport. It didn't mean anything to me at the time. And then somebody a couple weeks later says, oh, look, these two were in Montana at the same time. Well, that didn't mean anything to me at the time. Well, then today or yesterday, whenever it was, someone emails and puts it all together. I'm like, aha, that's exactly right. I do remember this. And so, sometimes you covering the story fleshes out some facts and then someone in the audience will put it together. When Charlie's hands stay in the position with the brain damage, even after the shot, like when they were carrying him to the vehicle, his hands are not drawn up like they were when he was shot. I don't think the hands gripping up like that was brain damage. I think it was electricity. I mean, that's where I am. Like, I'm not married to it. I'm not stating with certainty. I'm telling you, I think. I'm more than 50% confident that was electricity. I'm also more than 50% confident something under his shirt blew up. That would be two things, each of which could have killed him. I'm also confident something happened to him under the table that caused 2 dots on his right arm. I'm also confident something happened to him under the table or in the car that caused 5 broken vertebrae. You see what I'm saying? There were multiple things, any of which, in my opinion, could have been fatal. I don't know who put them there. I don't know what happened. I'm just telling you this I don't think came from brain damage. That doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. JD Vance likes Bozeman. I saw Air Force 2 there on December 27th. Well, who doesn't like Bozeman? I've never been there, but I used to do a lot of reading about American Indians, and the Bozeman Trail was huge back in the day. Huge. There's an Oregon Trail, there's the Santa Fe Trail, there was the Bozeman Trail. And I think you can still see wagon ruts to the Bozeman Trail in the ground. Maybe having a Joe moment, but why would having the mic audio negate John's analysis? Look forward to the member treat. Because if the mic survived, then it didn't explode. It's not having a Joe moment, Edge. That's a legitimate question. Maybe I didn't explain myself well. The ability to communicate, the burden to communicate is on the communicator, not the communicatee. And if I failed you, I apologize, Edge. That's why, though, if the mic is able to continue picking up the rescue efforts, if it continues picking, then the mic did not explode. And we would be able to tell if it's that mic because you would hear them, grabbing around at it under the table. Those mics are really sensitive. Candace read my super chat live today about the Wilkes brothers. They own a ton of land in Montana. We'll send you my research. I believe at the heart of this, they will send you info. Please send me that info, Living for His Glory Daily. I'd love to read it. The Wilkes brothers would tie in at least Rob McCoy and that Calvary Chapel because they've given that chapel millions of dollars, or at least loaned them millions of dollars. My impression was that it was a gift, but I don't know. Mrs. Coleman, please accept my penance for tardiness. I have my Joe hat on facing the corner. Please, the corner. Seriously. We don't do tardy around here. I could tell you guys were tardy because I know the pattern the audience usually takes, and it was like 5 minutes delayed tonight. 5 or 10 minutes delayed. Man, I've got the hiccups. I don't know if you guys can see that. And I haven't eaten relatively recently. I think it was the, is that coffee? Is there some kind of weapon they can shoot through the walls that can make me hiccup live on air? Like just to mess with me? TPUSA moving drugs for military and money laundering. It's crossed my mind. Drugs or guns. It has definitely crossed my mind. Yeah. I mean, they've got a lot of money and money went missing and they travel a lot. It seems like Israel took over our country on a timeline with the evangelical megachurches. I'm glad I'm Catholic. Yeah. I don't know any other way to say it. And anyone who can't see that, I don't know why you can't see it. Because it sure looks that way to me. But also, the rise of the evangelical megachurches has been a post-World War II reality. And post-World War II is the rise of Middle Eastern country. Rick Culler worked with Tim Ballard from Operation Underground Railroad, then sued him. I used to work with OUR, and I need your email to send you some information about connections I privately know about. Guys, if you ever need my email, it is available on YouTube. You go to my YouTube channel, and on my bio, if you click it, my email's there. Also, it's here. So you get it both places. You'll never be wanting for my email. realbaronpodcast@gmail.com. realbaronpodcast@gmail.com. Oh, while I'm doing this, don't forget to like, subscribe, click the notifications. Don't forget all the different places you can find me scrolling down there at the bottom. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to find me over on X. What other banners do I have? Don't forget I got a Venmo. I think that's all of them. Yeah, that's all of them. All right, back to comments. Stop the self-promotion. It's unbecoming. Fixed income, can't afford a membership. Well, I'm sorry. You don't have to be a member. I mean, you're more than welcome to watch the free version. I'm on 3, 4, 5 nights a week. It's just for people who want a little extra. Just for people who want a little extra. Thank you, Jillian. Charity McDonald became a YouTube member. Rick, I already did that one. Oh, yeah, I scrolled back up to do the $2 one because I didn't want her feeling left out. Ooh, this is interesting. I do remember this too, now that you mention it. I remember industrial valves coming up very early on. Valves and pipes go together. High current equals magnetic fields equals flying necklace. High IQ for the win. I do remember valves being a very, very early component of this investigation. It seemed like everybody in that little neighborhood where Phil Lyman's family used to own that property worked in the valve industry. If you remember, and then somebody said, oh, that's a CIA thing. It's an intelligence thing, the valves. Is this the real Robert Kennedy? Mr. Secretary, is this you? Are you the one flipping the food pyramid upside down? Because if so, welcome to the program, sir. I bet if I interviewed you, we'd have a lot of members. And don't hold me to the Coach Colin thing. I just told you that was that's the first guest I would want to get. EK posted a video after Charlie Kirk died where she asked him to tell her stats from the top of his head And she would laugh as she was making fun of him. As the montage of stats went on, Charlie Kirk looked sadder and sadder. It broke my heart. Oh, gosh, is that true? You know, there was one video that really bothered me. And it kind of contributed to me turning against her a little bit. They were talking about something. I don't remember what it was. It was on that podcast. They were sitting across the table from each other. He was in his normal chair. She was on the other side. And they were talking about, I don't know if it was like stay-at-home mom stuff, or they were talking about, I honestly don't remember. But as she talked, he just looked more and more like, what the hell was I thinking? And it really broke my heart because I could, obviously at the time you couldn't think anything, but now looking back, you look at it and you're like, it just broke my heart. And the time she couldn't remember her kids' birthdays, couldn't remember their anniversary. You remember that? There was a video of that going around. I mean, yeah, I struggle with birthdays when I go up to CVS or Walgreens and they're like, what's your kid's birthday? I'm like, well, I got 8 of them. Let me think for a second. Which one are we talking about? And then they name the name and I'm like, oh, hell. I get it, though. I always figure it out. She looked like she didn't know. She looked like she didn't know. Why didn't they unalive him in his sleep? Why so public? What's the message being sent? Would we be talking about it if he just had a heart attack? No, the message being sent is, oh gosh, how can I best say this? I think some of the people, I'm going to pull your comment down to answer this. I think some of the people who are against the nation in the Middle East that consumes a lot of the media, you know, there's a segment of the right and the left that are really against this country. They complain about it constantly, you know, whatever. And I think some of them are secretly on the side of this country because listen to the way they complain. Oh, this country's super powerful. They can get anybody at any time. You can't ever get away from this country. If they don't like you, you are a dead duck. You're a dead man walking. They'll blow up your pager. They'll blow up your VCR. If people still have VCR. I mean, these people, they control all the technology. They run the whole world. They you know, they've got the ability to get into your cell phone and see everything you've ever texted, get into your computer. Well, what message are they sending? You better behave. You better behave and you better not talk bad about this country. That's the message they're sending. Who would want you to send that message? Like, imagine this. Imagine you're in prison. What message do you want the other prisoners to have? You're all powerful behind these walls. If you mess, like let's say I end up in prison. What message do I want the other 2,000 people at the prison to have? You come after Baron Coleman, your life will not be the same. I'll destroy you. You better get in line. You better give me a third of all your potato chips. If I owe you money, you better give me favorable terms and just not ask for it, and I'll pay you when I can, or I'll destroy you. You better get out of my way. You better not mess with me. You better stay aside. I'm that powerful. That's the message I would want everyone in prison to have. Now, I might hire some people. Here's a pack of smokes. I need you to go around and act like you hate me. I need you to go around and act like you hate me and tell everyone how I've ruined your life. And I'm ruining everybody's lives. I need you to say that, Baron Coleman, he's the worst. I can't stand Baron Coleman. He controls everything behind these walls. He owns this place. He's the baddest dude there ever was. You don't want to mess with him. You don't want him on your bad side. He sucks. He's the worst. He owns the guards. He owns half the inmates. And he's taking more power daily. And he's creating all these systems where he'll just like, I will pay people in prison to say that about me. I want everybody in prison when I walk by to go, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Barron, sir. Anything else I can do for you, Mr. Barron, sir? I don't care if they hate me. Just get out of my way. Don't jump me. Don't mess with me. Just leave me alone. I want to run this place. I want to be uninterrupted in everything I want to accomplish behind these walls. I would give them cigarettes, Cracker Jacks, potato chips, gummy bears, whatever they got up in there, to run around and tell everyone how awful I am. I think there's a segment of that in social media, on X, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram, TikTok. I think there's a lot of that going on. Get an affiliate link for Adidas hoodies. That has been I'm pulling this up because that has been suggested to me so many times, and I've not gone the advertising route yet. I know that's not really advertising, but I'm not saying I won't. And I think there's value if I believe in the product. And I certainly do believe in the Adidas hoodies. But I haven't done that yet. And these are not cheap. Like I don't know what Amazon pays for an affiliate link. I think it's $60 for this hoodie. These hoodies are not, I mean, they are nice. These are high quality hoodies. Not a lousy hoodie at all. Y'all gonna have to bug Coach Colin and get him to come on my member interview. Be the very first member interview. Baron, look at Erika and Cabot's pics of their kids. Is it the same boy? Shorts look exactly the same, and face isn't shown in either pic. Oh, this is gonna be weird. Now I'm gonna have the FBI looking at me. Cabot Phillips kid. Oh, great. Now I gotta look up Erika Kirk's kid. Oh, this is so creepy. Erika Kirk's kid. Oh my gosh. I swear I'm going to have some kind of well, that's not the picture I'm looking for. I need Erika Kirk's alibi Candace. Is that a way to get it? No. I don't want to leave Cabot Phillips kid pulled up. All right. Middle Eastern country. If you saw that search, that's not me being scandalous. Don't come knocking on my door trying to bribe me or extort me. That's just me answering a YouTube super. I cannot believe I just looked up someone's kid on YouTube, on Google. Google right now is going, what the hell's wrong with that guy? Sorry. Won't happen again, YouTube. Won't happen again, Google. Any idea why some are paying $9.99, others are paying $12.99 for membership? I paid $9, Joel paid $12. I don't know. There's only one tier, and I only authorized one tier. It could be that some people are not premium members. Is that why? I don't know the answer to that. This was suggested to me. Okay, let me tell you how the membership came about. So when I first came on, I wanted to have a research group. And the research group idea was immediately shot down by a veteran YouTube podcaster who said, are you out of your mind? Do not tell people what you're researching. 2 reasons. One is other people will steal it. Like you will have other podcasters in there and they'll this is a cutthroat business you're getting into. If you tell anyone what you're working on, you're going to see it you're going to see it go out an hour before your show starts. Number 2. And I was like, I don't care about that because nobody's going to do it with the same panache as your humble host. But number 2 is they said the other side will be watching and they will see it. So don't do the research group. Just that's not a good idea. But I said, okay. So a few weeks go by and I said, but what I'd like to do is what I had intended to do, not only to have a research group, but just have like a bounce ideas off people group. Like I'm looking at something, I read something, I think that's weird. I wonder if there's anybody else who has a thought on that. So I could have like a 5-minute video and say, hey, I just read this story. Here's what it looks like it means to me. Do you guys have any ideas? Hit it up in the comments. But I don't want to put that on my main YouTube page because I don't want people to think that's the kind of content I put out. In other words, I'll give you an idea. The girl that Candace was promoting yesterday, I watched her podcast today. It was great. But she said she doesn't put out a lot of podcasts because she's a perfectionist. Well, girl, you got to get over that. Like, you're going to have to burp into the mic occasionally. I've done it twice tonight. I just hope you don't hear it. But yeah, I mean, but the membership group would allow me to have these very short, sort of top of mind, not prepared, no monologue, no Adidas hoodie, backwards hat, t-shirt. Hey guys, I read this story. Tell me if you think this is going anywhere because I don't want to waste a bunch of time on this if you think it's a dud. And the member group allows me to do that. And so then the feedback I got back on that was, hey, that sounds like a great use of it. Then I thought I want to start having interviews, but I'm not an interview person. Like I'm not doing the Sean Ryan thing where every show's an interview. I find great, like Tucker, almost every show's an interview. I find great value in that. I learn a lot from those people, from those shows, those types of shows. But I don't want to become that. I'm not an interviewer at heart. I'm a monologuist at heart. I like writing a nice monologue. I like covering 2 or 3 stories after the monologue and then shutting it down and doing another one the next day. And so this member group would allow me to have informal interviews with people and without the monologue and without the research and without all that, just to chat. And so then I decided if I'm going to do that, I'm going to put the member group up and we'll go forward with it on those terms. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is how this group came to be. Why it's priced that way, I don't know. I only authorized 1 tier. They tried to get me to do like 2 or 3 tiers. I was like, no, I want 1 tier. That's it. Just 1 tier of members. I don't want segregated members where people are expecting different things. I'm going to give you a little extra content. That's my promise to you. And we'll do our best. Hey, Baron. Mark here from Vaughn Live. I reached out via email a couple times. Just want to say we think you do great work. Have a lot of fans over here. Please consider multi-streaming to Vaughn Live. Go Max. No to Joe. Is that a platform, I'm assuming? I'm covering platforms one at a time. I'm trying to get up on one platform at a time. We're getting Spotify going right now. If you guys are on Spotify, by all means, recommend me to your Spotify fans because it's a very easy. I'm uploading video. People told me not to, but I'm like, no, we're doing video. They said, Baron, you'll make more money if you don't do video. It's not about that. It's about the show requires the video. I do a lot on screen. I'm not doing it without it. And I mean, it's not about that. I'm going to call you after the show. Oh, I'm going to email you after. I was like, please don't call me after the show. It's 9:30 here. I'm going to email you after the show. My uncle was commander of all civil fleets under Reagan. Ollie took the fall for him. Yeah, please, by all means, I'd love to hear from you. Happy to read that email. Many of us, our regular supporters, can't afford the amount for membership. For me, it's $15.99. Why is it? Oh, because you're in Australia. Yeah, you know what I could do? I could say I'll do the interviews and then maybe a month later release them to the general population. But again, then I get this situation where I have these videos I'm not particularly proud of on there. I hope you get enough interaction with me. I'm not trying to leave anyone out. I promise. Promise. I'm not trying to leave anyone out. Just trying to strike a balance where it becomes worth doing the additional content and having a kind of behind the curtain place where I can put some random stuff up. Is that an Indiana Jones hat by the IU thing? Also, Purdue grad here. Don't hate me because go IU tomorrow. It's not necessarily an Indiana Jones hat. It is a, hold please. I'm not sure what kind of hat you would call this. But it's this kind of hat. I don't wear it. I just put it back there. I don't even know why I put it back there. I guess because it breaks up the filing system I got back there. Happy to answer your question though, Indiana hater. Oh, goodness gracious. Hanscom Air Force Base in Bedford, Mass. is the airport you mentioned. Is there another airport in Bedford, or is it only the Air Force Base? Because these planes, I think, are civilian airplanes that are going there. So I'll need to look into that. Thanks for that tip, because I see a lot of that Bedford airport. It's BED, whatever that is. BED. If that's Hanscom, then we have civilian planes going to military airports. I guess to specify my meaning about Harpole on the Sean Ryan show, I meant Fairy Lake, the retreat. Yeah, the problem is the Fairy Lake retreat was like a month before the Sean Ryan show came out. I'm about to pray 15 decades. I will pray for Andrew Colpett, but honestly, with the depth of depravity Candace spoke about tonight, it would take a miracle for his conversion. Well, the Lord is in the business of miracles, Fatima. The Lord is in the business of miracles. We prayed the other night for Andrew Colpett. The night I suggested our whole audience pray, we did. And he remains in my prayers. He remains. Xfeed was slammed with cop videos. Not getting out 2 days before the Renee Good event, almost like they were case testing. And I know because I kept typing Pennsylvania versus Mims repeatedly. Too bad Joe didn't stick around long enough to be befuddled by Barron. Oh, well, she was befuddled by tulips or daffodils, befuddled by daffodils. I live in Kalispell, and it's getting full of some creepy rich Pottersfield Ministries. Why do rich people want to go to North Dakota? No offense. Well, there's a lot of money up there, I guess, with the with all the oil stuff. So maybe I'm misreading that. Maybe I'm misreading it. Fellow Sean from Inspired. Follow Sean from Inspired. Content of great depth. Integral thought happens to come out of Franklin, Tennessee, too. Trigger Smart pointed out his mic should have been outside Charlie Kirk's shirt. Keep going, Max, for reach for the stars. Yeah, I've heard that about the mic, but I've seen people wear them on the inside. They're pretty good mics. So they would get through a little t-shirt. Random question here. Where can we mail something to you? What size are the frames behind you? What size hoodie do you wear? Love your show. Bless you and your family. If you go to BaronColeman.com, there is an address there you can mail things to. I'm working on getting another address that's a little more convenient, but for right now, I do have someone there that takes my mail, checks it, lets me know when a package is there, and forwards it to me. So that's just a way I can safely take mail. So BaronColeman.com, there is an address on the bottom. It'll say it's dangerous and all that. It's because I don't pay the $10 a year for the redirect or whatever that is. It's not dangerous. There's no bugs. Nobody's phishing anything. But there's an address there you can check out. BaronColeman.com. At the very bottom, it goes to Miami, Florida. So it's an old address, obviously. Large hoodie. These are 8.5 by 11 frames. I'm confident they are. They might be 8 by 10. Hold, please. I know where I bought them. Let me look them up real quick. I'm pretty sure they're 8.5 by 11. Yeah, 8.5 by 11 frame. Mr. Lamb Rocker, did I tell you that I live next to a rocker named Lamb or close to a rocker named Lamb? Did I tell you that? Not next to, in the general area. Good guy. Rick Cutler braced his arm on rail to make the shot. He probably practiced that shot all week. It wasn't a palm gun. I don't know any other way to say it. It wasn't a palm gun. And if it was a palm gun and he only practices the shot all week, he would have missed. And if he missed, there was a guy standing directly in the way. Actually, 3 guys. Dan Flood, Danny Phillips, and Butch Hibbs. We're all basically in line with that shot. Can we just accept Rick Cutler did something else and it looks shady as hell and it looks suspicious, but it was not a palm gun? Because that would make my life so much better. So much better. Forget eyes wide shut between you, Candace, and Ian. It's like eyes wide open. Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. Someone said they need a coffee mug that says hold, please. That's actually really cute because you would hold it. It would say hold, please. That's actually really cute. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. That might be on the horizon. That might make it to the show. Rob preached at Jack Hibbs' church and introduced Charlie. Jack Hibbs' church or Butch Hibbs' church? Jack Hibbs, where he's a pastor. I believe that. Oh, Lamb Rocker, you're back for more? Tier 1 member here. You should call the segment after the opening statement Discovery. Ooh, I don't dislike that. I hope that you have taken measures to keep your family safe. You're getting very close, and they might be scared, desperate. Well, we're safe in the arms of the Lord, if that's what you're asking. I don't want anything to happen to any of my family, but my family's full of really good people. So hopefully we can go back to an America where people are allowed to do a little investigative journalism. And if you did bad things and people find out about it, then you just man up and take responsibility. Color had an evil smile after he pulled on his sleeve after that thing, and that thing he had passed over to someone else when they were all under the table. I'm willing to accept that he had something in his hand. It's not a palm gun. Like that. That's just not a palm gun. I'm totally willing to accept that he had something in his hand. I'm unwilling to accept he shot him with a palm gun. Looks like the Sorensen Center had a pretty sophisticated audio studio inside. Did UVU have powerful house speakers hung in the courtyard that day? HD 30.6 shot audio is available online. I have looked at that. There is, from any caliber of weapon you want, there is a gunshot available online. So I saw that. But I would think the house speakers, the angle would be all wrong. It would be coming from the wrong area. I triggered someone on Redemption Church site with a McCoy comment. It's full of McCoy stuff. Yeah, there are some people that love some Rob McCoy. That's all I can say. The more you get out there, the more you see all this stuff. You're like, why? Why do people love this guy so much? Now, I will say this. I've done a lot of Rob McCoying over the last few months, even though I haven't talked about him in a few weeks, and that's going to change because I found some stuff I do want to talk about in the near future. But when you get to the older Rob McCoy stuff, vintage Rob McCoy, I call it, 2010, 2012, seems like a hell of a dude. Like, he seems like a great guy. If Rob McCoy was possessed by demons, it was after 2012. That's all I can say. Because he sure doesn't strike me that way before then. He seems like the most genuine, decent, honorable guy before then. Maybe kids are safe with Charlie's parents. It may explain why they've been quiet. It could be. I'm interviewing with AES employee. You said email you. What is that? I don't know exactly what you're saying, but yeah, if you're talking to someone over there, please email me. I'd love to hear it. Love to hear what you're working on. Blue Cheer, back for more. Thank you, Blue Cheer. Born in Bedford. Go Hoosiers. I like Bedford. I've been through Bedford many times. Used to live in Bloomington. Bedford limestone. Most of you don't realize this. Bedford limestone is what makes up the Empire State Building and the Pentagon. Limestone from Bedford, Indiana, which is near the Naval Warfare Center Crane. Is right close to there. Thank God it's your camera. I thought my vertigo was coming back. Love the show, Baron. You rock. Started following you and you had 397 followers. Yeah, so I used to have the focus locked, and I noticed when I moved in and out, I would fuzz a little bit. So I unlocked it so that it would autofocus, because sometimes I would sit back here and then I would be fuzzy until I came back up. And so I thought, well, I'll just have it adjust. But what I forgot was I'm a wiggling fool, and I'm up, I'm back, I'm up, I'm back, I'm up, I'm back, I'm up, I'm back. And so the thing is driving me crazy. I don't sit there and watch myself the whole time, but when I'm reading these comments, I have to. Let's see here. The video from Candace had might show the thing that fell from the top of the tent. Should. Your hideous seafoam green all day. I don't think this is seafoam green. The seafoam green has some more blue in it, right? No, yeah. See, that's a different color. Yeah, seafoam green is a brighter color. This is much more muted. Drab, as some of the earlier commenters pointed out. Oh my. Guys, you guys are humbling me with these memberships. I'm gonna have to really, really, really come out with a banger. And I think if I can't get Colin to do it, which I think I can, if I can't get Colin to do it, I've got a backup. Not a backup Colin. There is no backup Colin. But if I can't get Colin to do it, I've got, or maybe the person I would normally want to do second, maybe I'll elevate to first. Yeah. I'm trying to be a little more selective because we just crossed the 3-hour mark. So I apologize for holding you so long. There's 30 minutes of comments left. So I'm working my way through. I'm working on my way through. Man, you guys are killing it on these. All right, here we go. Finally, based on the search results, Rick Cutler worked security for Charlie Kirk and Riley Gaines' event at San Francisco State University on May 5, 2025. Event details. So thank you. That answers a question I've had for a long time. Was Rick Cutler ever there before, or was this his first appearance? Because I've heard both. I keep hearing people say it's his first appearance, but no one will provide me a link to that. Hey, Barone. Just wanted you to wish you the success this broken world can offer. Only through faith and a profound desire for the truth can this happen. Prayers and best wishes. Geez, I had to type this 20 times. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. This is good. Et tu, TPUSA? Yeah, et tu indeed. Oh, I got to move these a little quicker, guys. I kind of told the wife I'd be off by 9:30. Very odd. Charlie's parents and I believe sisters not at memorial event. Were they not? I thought they were. I thought the parents were, but I could be wrong. Something definitely there about that. For them, Charlie Kirk is their family. For everyone else, he's TPUSA's founder. Doesn't add up. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I did know this. We covered this before, Edge. Erika Kirk's Instagram has her and Charlie Kirk during a C-section. Because I said if those aren't her kids, then they staged a C-section shot behind a curtain, which is totally creepy. Like that's culpability. If they did that, then Charlie's in on the whole thing. Like nothing's real. I will never dish your wiggles. Nothing drives my ADHD brain. What's ADHA? Is that a new condition? See, this is how ADHD works. You got to look it up. ADHA? Oh, I think you just mistyped because that's the American Dental Hygienists Association. And if you got an American Dental Hygienists Association brain, that's weird. Like those redacted stars rotating in 4 different directions while you're trying to watch the speaker. I can't. Yeah, I'm not very fancy. A lot of them have second cameras and then they look over here and then they come back and look over here. And I think it's to prevent people from getting bored. If you guys are getting bored, I'm sorry. I try to entertain you. Gonzalo Lira. What's that mean? Zammit? I don't know what Gonzalo Lira means. Oh, sorry. I tried to pull that up and it went up and down real fast. Man, this is going to be a massive debut for the members. Britt, thank you. Very generous. Mayor Bunga. Why do all roads lead to PDF files at the end of the day? Candace has my mind reeling on the Romanian crap. So I think politics are run by demons, primarily. I really believe that. I believe all the nations of the world are run by demons. And so, of course, these other demons are going to be attracted to this stuff. We made the right person famous, guys. Oh, what does that mean? Is that good or bad? It looks like you're crying. Well, I hope I didn't disappoint you. I don't, these are, Crone. Did we discover this? I think we looked at these up one time. Crones, Norwegian crones. Do you remember the video of the thing falling from the tent 2-3 weekends ago? Yeah. Ian and I covered that last show. I think it's the same. You and Ian were like, one step ahead of me. Raspberry against hiccup. Does that mean I need to go eat raspberries to stop it? We do have raspberries. You know, this is amazing. I live better than the richest kings of the Middle Ages. Like the richest kings that controlled the 6th of the world. I live better than they do. They couldn't get raspberries in the middle of the winter. It's December here in the Northern Hemisphere. Well, it's December everywhere. It's winter in the middle of the Northern Hemisphere, or January. And I could go get raspberries. They're like $8. I can get a whole tray of raspberries for $8. These things had to be cultivated, grown, shipped. $8. I want some raspberries. I get some raspberries. Desktop versus iPhone. I believe the difference for cost and why they advise you to boost Insta on desktop versus phone. I could also be wrong, in which case I hope you don't read this out loud. Too late. If you don't want me to read something out loud, say it in the first sentence because I might not see it at the end until I get going. Vivek Swami, also Fairy Lake, October 7th. It's on his Instagram. Well, that's reason alone right there not to like the place. I'm not a big fan of that guy. I was for a long time. I was a huge fan of that guy when he first hit the ground. He has really fallen a long way in my eyes. And if you guys like him, I apologize. I don't live in Ohio and can't vote for him. So it's not me saying do or don't vote for him. The shine's worn off of him. Old social media post by EK in reference to her mom referred to her as Loretta. Project Constitution said today on X that she has 11 aliases, but that first name is not listed among them. I've got a little alias chart here. Let me look it up. I got a little website I can go to. I got a little subscription I can use. Where she live? Scottsdale? We're checking. I'm not allowed. My subscription does not allow me to broadcast this, so I apologize. You just got to listen to me talk about it. So Loretta did not come up. Lori did. Let's see. Here we go. We have, I got Lori Ann, Lori W, Lori A. Wallstad? Who's Wallstad? Is that her last name? Or was it her last name at one point? Or is that somebody else? I'll leave that pulled up and look at it off screen. It's probably boring you guys if you're not looking at it with me. I don't see 11 aliases, but I also didn't see Loretta. All I saw was Lori. But Lori, I mean, that sounds right. Short for Loretta. It sounds right to me. If my name was Loretta and I shortened it to, actually, I know a Loretta who goes by Lori. That's true. That is a true fact, ladies and gentlemen. I personally know a Loretta who goes by Lori. You have firsthand experience here. This is not me just guessing, pontificating, wondering. This is me stating actual facts, firsthand reporting. If my wife is listening, she can vouch for that. It's her friend. It's a family friend. I guess it's mine too. Hope you, Candace, Ian, and others are taping behind the scenes. This is going to make an incredible docuseries one day. Episode Fed Slop. Episode 1, Go Max. Oh, I see. I have not taped behind the scenes. Now, I do tape a lot of my research sessions. I record a lot of them. And I put them on a cloud drive. I can't do the $14 a month membership because I would be paying for my sister and I. Could you please offer a deal for us lowly disabled vets that want to help Family Crisis King? I set it at $9, $9.99, which I thought was kind of like a nice little middle ground. I had some people telling me to set it at $50 and like really tighten up the membership pool, and then I would get a lot more feedback. And I was like, no, it sounds greedy. But they were like, if you set it at $2, it's not going to be any different than a normal episode. Like you got to find some middle ground. And so, I was like $10, look, I took that because I subscribed to a page that's $10. So I just stole it. And they gave pretty good feedback on their member only content. It's not bad. It's fun. Have a good time over there. So I stole the idea. But I did not authorize a $14 a month. I'll go check on it. Make sure it's 10. It should only be 10. But again, maybe that's YouTube members versus not premium members, or like premium members versus not premium members. A trained honeypot would have no trouble keeping a man around. Ooh. I don't like to use the HP word, ma'am. The H word got people sued when they called the Nashvillian a honeypot. You remember that? The Nashvillian? I can't even say her name. I'm scared to death of even saying her name. Happy to support Stay Real. You got it, girl. I'm staying real. No question in my mind. Yet another Babylonia show. Must-see TV. Looking forward to meters-only content. High IQ outfit for sure. Keep going, Max. Is it true EK's mom had Fort Huachuca contracting history? I am in the process of doing an EK mom piece. I don't know that it'll be a full episode, but it certainly will be a segment. Other people have done good segments on it as well, but I'm trying to round it out perhaps a little more. Running down a couple angles I haven't seen run down yet. But I don't know definitively as I sit here right now that I can say she had a Fort Huachuca contracting history. Has she ever been on Fort Huachuca? I believe the answer to that question is yes. But that's different than having a Fort Huachuca originated contract. And I mean, there might be a little too much nuance, but in my head, I have to make that nuance. Thank you for all the great work you do. Hopefully you and Coach can get together. Praise God. I hope so too. Oh, this is funny. Looks like Indiana Baron and the Temple of Boom. Temple of Boom. I love it. Could it be she meant to say she lost her husband and she lost her kid's father? No. In my opinion, no. She said she lost her husband, she lost her kids. There's meter to that. There's rhyme to that. There's poetry to that. That's not what she meant to say. Look, I accept that she says she misspoke. I don't accept that that's what happened. I don't expect, I mean, I am willing to report she said she misspoke, but that doesn't mean I accept that she misspoke. Butch carried the explosive to the event. Your opinion. Harpole armed it. Your opinion. Cutler detonated the device. Your opinion. Google how Hollywood uses squibs with two people. I have. Two-step ignition. Yes. Now all three in the same location again. Yes. I have looked at that. Hollywood squibs are not exploded by one person. They take two people. And the reason is, and it's usually the actor holding one of them. And the reason is you don't want to surprise someone. Like just because they're they're big. They make a big bang. Hey, Baron, there's a documentary called Three Identical Strangers. I can't get Candace's attention, but can you watch it and give me your thoughts? I'm starting to wonder if Charlie was a triplet as Obama. You're asking me to watch a movie? I mean, that's for $20? How long is this movie? I'm gonna give you I'll give you my legal hourly rate, and you can pay me that. I'll watch it. An hour and 36. We'll do a friends and family discount rate of $800 an hour. So for $1,200, I'll watch it. I kid. I would never charge you. Identical triplets separated at birth and adopted by three different families. Years later, their amazing reunion becomes a global sensation, but it also unearths an unimaginable secret that has radical repercussions. Now, what was your question? You're starting to wonder if Charlie was a triplet as Obama? Like, they don't look anything alike. They're both tall, I guess. Charlie's, I don't know if you know this. I don't want to be the one to tell you. Charlie's white, dude. Like, Obama's half white. You know what I mean? Like, he is the 44th consecutive president raised by a white woman in a white family, born to a white woman, raised in a white family. But he ain't white. Like even not an identical triplet. Now, you know who could be identicals or fraternal twins? Let's be honest. We talked about this the other night, I think. They both have round, fat faces. They both have little, like, fat people fingers. They both were fat kids, I think. If I had to guess, of course, I'm talking about the vice president and Erika Kirk, but they look a lot alike. I don't know if they're maybe no relation whatsoever, but they sure favor each other. The guy doing the interview with the EMS employee was the one you wanted to sit in on for pre-interview. Oh, yes, I do want to sit in on that pre-interview. I would love to sit in on that. Thank you for clarifying. I forget things. 46, you know. Do I ever think there'll be closure what happened to Charlie? Maybe not closure in the sense that we're 100% certain, but I think we'll get closure in the sense that we'll probably get pretty close to being, certain. We'll be able to say, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Yeah, I do. I think so. I mean, the public will lose interest the moment this case is over. That happens all the time, which is why they're going to hustle this thing to some kind of a conclusion. Either Tyler meets his maker, gets Epsteined, or he'll take a plea. And then the case is over. They shut the case. Nothing to see here. Move along. Don't worry about all these weird coincidences. Look at Project Constitution's post. It says leaked docs say Lori is a spy. Also, a week ago, report says EK telling the kid CK left a Ford Gigi's Blueberry Budge is why judge gave CK parents temporary custody. Has Project Constitution reported on this? I just need citation, and I am a big fan of Project Constitution, but I'm not going to accept a Twitter post as I'll take a judgment or somebody that's part of their family saying, yes, this is what happened. I'm really confused because I too was charged $12.99. And I'm a Prime member. So is it $9.99 or $12.99? I'm in California. I'm 99.9% sure it's $9.99, but I'm going to check it. Let me look here. Memberships. Yeah, $9.99. I don't know, guys. And I know there are people paying $9.99. So I don't know if you guys have taxes in your state or what. But yeah, it's $9.99. That's all I know. I can't. I will do some investigating afterwards. And if I can get YouTube to refund you guys, like I'm gonna contact them. They have, reps that'll talk to people. As much money as they make off of advertising on this show, I think they make way more than I do. They should give me I've talked to people there before, when they've questioned stuff. So I will mention it and say, hey, I authorized $9.99 and people are saying they're paying $12.99. What the hell's going on? Can you refund them? I tagged you in Ryan Upchurch post, another truth teller being harassed by the theys. We should keep eyes on this and help keep visible and safe. Okay. Duly noted. Who's Ryan Upchurch? Is that an X post? Is that what you tagged me in? All right. I'll check it out. Don't forget, join the page. I will be contacting some folks I want to do some interviews with. I will start doing, not daily, but every now and then I'll drop a 5, 10, 15-minute video up there, just kind of giving you a rundown of what I'm working on. You might have a little heads up of what's coming that day. If I need some help, I get stuck on something, don't know what to think about something, I may hit up that member page and ask you guys. Again, it's just a place for me to get a little feedback, throw out quick videos that I don't want to have to be full productions. I don't need to do a 2 or 3 hour podcast to get an answer. I just want to, and I'm not looking for people to, and those guys, members, seriously, that's not a place to donate super chats. That's just me and you talking, having a good time. The super chats would be, on the regular shows. I do appreciate them. They frankly are the only way I'm able to do this. I cannot do this show on a daily basis without them because it wouldn't pay the bills. So thank you for your support. Thank you for making it a hard but easy decision to do this full time, to move out of the full-time practice of law and into the full-time hanging out with you guys several nights a week. So, but thank you. Look forward to talking to you soon. I will be back probably Sunday night. I will be back Sunday night no matter what, but probably Sunday. I don't believe I'll be here Saturday, but maybe you members will get a little something between now and then, because I get jonesing before the show if I have to wait a couple days. So you members may get a little something extra between now and Sunday, but I will do the regular Sunday night show. That's the show I've been doing the longest. I've been doing that one for a long time. I'll check into the amount, guys. I genuinely will check into the amount. That's the first thing I'm going to do when I get off of here. Well, I'm going to get the stream up first, and then I will email our little rep and ask her what's going on, or him, whoever's there. I don't actually know who it is. So, all right. I've enjoyed it. We will see you guys again soon. And do not forget, ladies and gentlemen, the most important lesson every single show: Jesus loves you.